Welcome to episode 5 of Classy Broadcast with Classy Broad members Jake Crook, Callie Fox, and Sycamore Treasy. Today we have guest James Gregg speaking on mental health and the struggles of it, and telling us about the album that he is currently in the making of. As always, thank you for watching and for giving us a space to voice our thoughts. Welcome to Classy Broadcast. We are on episode 5 now. Today we have James Gregg with us. We're going to talk a little bit about music and a lot about mental health.
We definitely have to get a sound machine.
Oh my god, that would be fun. His most recent project, which was BARZ. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, go check it out. I will link it at the bottom of this video. And I also asked him to send me the song from the album that he's been working on, that he's been struggling to finish. He sent me that song. Have you guys listened to those, both of them?
Yes.
I would like to know what you guys thought of, especially Letters from the Grave.
Letters from the Grave was heavy for me.
Oh, thank you.
It was definitely... What did I say the other day when I was listening to it, Cal? I was like, it made me see both sides of the coin with your topic. Because it made me feel and understand why you would do what you do in the song.
We're going to mention it. We're not going to say
Let's just call it what it is. I know
Yeah.
that the concept of the album is very dark. There's
I guess because it's the song lyrics. I just want to tell everybody like what the concept is.
the concept of the album is I'm portraying it as a suicide letter. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin the direction that I want the album to go and how I want to end it. I want to keep that a surprise, but I will say there's going to be a powerful ending at the end of it. Each song on the album is a suicide letter addressed to people who have had the most impact on my life. My wife, my kids, individuals I have encountered, my parents, and a lot of it is just talking about regret. We're going to talk on mental health today. Well, my mental health has come with a long list of negative behaviors in life, and I was not always the best of people, and I have a lot of shame and a lot of guilt, and this album for me is just being like, this needs to be done. Like I said, I don't want to say too much and ruin the ending of the album, but
That's who I was censoring for.
I was going to bring it all the way up, bro.
I heard Letters to the Grave. I think you might even showed it to me prior to releasing it. I remember hearing it quite a while ago, then refreshed it, listening to it yesterday. I agree with Jesse. I guess I compared it to like your album, Cal, your most recent album. Again, it's kind of almost like you're not just listening to a song, you're watching an episodic type thing. The story you're portraying as a listener, it's really easy to be like, oh shit, I get why suffering from mental health, suicidal thoughts are there and how hard they are to combat, with the other side of it being like, oh my god, look what I'd be leaving behind. I think you just did a good job of conveying that.
thank you guys.
And also your rhyme schemes on there are definitely top tier. The way that you were able to express both sides of that and at the same time still be lyrical, I was like, fuck yeah.
Thank you.
I will start by saying I really think that is the best song I've ever heard from you.
Wow. Oh, thank you.
It's such a great song. I'm gonna cry. It's gonna happen. I sent it to them, and I listened to it myself, and I sent them a GIF. It's like, I'm gonna go cry now, because it got me from both sides. Because it got me from the side of that self-hatred and that regret and the feeling of wanting to die. But it also, at the very end, you say, I'm so sorry to my kids. And it's someone who lost their parent to suicide. That just hit me in the heart so hard. I was afraid I was going to have to listen to the song again just to access the true emotion. But that's really how well that you put that feeling into that. Is honestly, every time I think about it, I cry. And it's not a
Every
bad
time.
thing.
It's
Don't
true.
be sorry.
No,
or anything.
Well, here, I'll put it this way, really quick interjection. You say you're struggling right now with motivation to make music. That's fucking why. That's why you make music, big dog. That right
No,
there.
that's where my mind went too. I was like, holy shit, dude. Honestly, one of the things that I think has been so hard for me to finish the album is because not enough people come to me and tell me that. I don't hear that a lot. I don't get a lot of interaction on my page, and I'm battling with the whole idea of fuck that interaction. Make music because it's fun. Stop making music because you want to blow. Make music because you enjoy making music.
Well, it's hard because even if you don't want to blow, you want to impact people.
Right, and hearing that, I very well might go home tonight and write, because I've now been shown that at least 3 individuals in my life heard something that I created, and it touched them, and it hit them in a way that you can't really put into words how that feels.
You feel something.
Often thing we bring up on the cast is musicians get to experience a certain type of emotion that's really hard to encapsulate, and it's really can't really fake it.
And like I said, the album is dark, and the way I present it is dark, and I don't know if you guys have taken the time to hear some of the other letters. I think I have 4 on my YouTube right now on the Wickedly Righteous Universe. I have 4 letters. 2 of them are to my sons.
That's gonna fuck me.
Both of them are very powerful letters. Honestly, I love all my children the same, but I would have to say if I had to really pick the one that I really went the deepest into was probably my letter to my oldest son, Noah. I truly have a lot of guilt when it comes to the type of father I was when he first was handed to me by the state and was like, here you go. So you're a full-time dad. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. We're going to touch on mental health. My mental health has always been shit. And at that time when I became a father, like a full-time father, I got this kid 24/7 now. I was unmedicated. I was not currently seeking psychiatric help because I was not at a point in my life where I was able to identify that I was battling mental health issues. I never beat my kids. I never starved my kids, but I was a piece of shit dad. I would talk to my kids in a way that was not going to do them any favors. I would always yell. I would cuss. I would call them names, not to be mean, but that's how I was raised. That's what my parents, that's how my parents were with me. And so I didn't know any better. And it wasn't until some things happened in our life and I realized, wow, I am just like my father, and my father fucked me up, dude. I love my parents, so I'm not trying to talk shit, but my parents were not very nice to me growing up. It didn't do me any fucking favors. And so now I'm proud of the father I am now. But when I wrote that letter, God was like really deep in it. I'm all like, son, I fucking love you and I am sorry. Now my letter to Lucian is just as deep. I apologize. Me and Noah, we tried to move away. I have a big regret with that when it comes to Lucian, because to me, I was doing something that was going to better me, that was going to be beneficial for me. I did not stop to think about what that was going to do to him. He's always been a daddy's boy, and now I'm just dipping. And so I talk about that in my letter to Lucian. I talk about a couple other things. My letter to Noah, that one's deep. And then the other letter that's on there, aside from the intro, Marksman, that we were just talking about, I have a letter to my wife. And that one, I don't really have regrets with my wife. So that one was more of just like appreciation letter. Thank you for coming into my life when you did. Thank you for being who you are. And thank you for giving me someone to share this journey with. If you guys get a chance, check out the other letters, and I will hopefully put some more out. Right now, I'm really battling lately with motivation and shit.
So
I feel that, bro.
I think it's so crazy because you and I have this history. We've known each other for a really long time. We've cut heads. We've been assholes to each other. We've essentially bullied each other. We dated each other for a little while, and we were really shitty people to each other.
I wouldn't say we were shitty to each other. I know I was shitty to you, honey. And
I appreciate it.
And I want you to know that when I think about our friendship, I'm so happy where we are now compared to where we were. I honestly can't remember a time you were ever really mean to me. I know I was a douchebag to you. I remember that. I do not remember a single time you were ever mean to me. If you were, it was in response to me being a douchebag.
Yeah, that's possible.
Which then I would have deserved. So it wasn't you being mean, it was you confronting an asshole.
Fair enough. But I just think it's funny because all that, and I relate so much. Because not only with the mental health struggles and the whole not knowing that you need medication and not being aware of that, because I've always said, especially with bipolar, when you don't have medication, you don't think you need medication. But when you're medicated, you're like, oh, fuck, you needed this. With the regrets with your kids, that hits me so hard. Because my mom was like, oh no, you shouldn't have a kid when I did. Because I was 17 when I got pregnant with him. We were both young parents. And I was like, fuck you, dude. I'm going to be a better mom than you. And I think that was kind of whole motivation. And it was a bad motivation. You know what I mean? And it turned out that being a parent was a lot fucking harder than I thought it would be. And I've been very selfish as a parent myself. And I have a lot of regrets when it comes to that.
The things that I will say that I think makes us amazing parents is that we have that regret is because I've met some really truly shitty parents. Like, say I was a shitty parent, but I have met some pieces of shit that truly just raised their kids throughout their entire life, just however the fuck they see fit, not a care in the world. And I think the fact that you and I have that regret just shows that not only that we truly do love our children, but it also shows growth in us, because you can sit there and be like, yeah, I did was wrong, and then continue to do it. You continue a pattern, but to actually sit down and reflect on what we are doing with our kids and what we can do to make things better, and I think makes us extraordinary parents, because nobody is perfect. Kids don't come with a fucking manual. As much as we wish they did, they don't. There's
Can you
no
imagine Hannah's manual.
right. And if it did, dude, that manual, dude.
Atlases would read like the handbook for the recently deceased. Like,
Question marks? I don't know, dog. You did what? Good luck with that one.
You say that you've been struggling with motivation lately. Is that in a general sense or with...
Yo, I have been battling for a little while now. I've been battling multiple different things. I'm a pretty open book. I don't mind talking about really anything. I guess there's a few things I'll keep to myself. But me and my wife, we don't ever leave the house. I go to work. I come home. We both have really bad social anxiety. We don't like being around people. You guys are an exception from that. You guys are like family. But my wife will literally, on payday, ask her mom to go with her to go shopping, because I absolutely I hate going into public. Yeah. And
because your job is like,
it
is like most public get, really.
And I get by. I do what I need to for my job and for my work, and to make sure I provide the best experience possible for the clients I work with. But when it comes to my personal life, just motivation is a big one. Especially right now, I'm going through a medication change. They're taking me off a pretty heavy duty medication that I've been on for the last few years. And so I'm going through withdrawals. I'm going through serious fatigue. I'll just say I've been on Adderall for the last few years. And when I first got on Adderall, like you had said, when you first get put on psychiatric medication, that shit hits you, and that's when you really know, like, damn, I really did need this. Absolutely. Here's the downside of any medication, of any psychiatric journey, is you develop a tolerance. Adderall, for me, when I first took it, I was ferocious. I was on top of shit. I started my own company. I fucking got an LLC license. I never thought I would ever require one of those. I fucking bought my own studio. I fucking turned around. I just bought a beautiful home for my family. I was really killing it. But then something happened, and the medication slowly started to have a reverse effect, and it started increasing my anxiety. My motivation was just depleting. And I finally reached out to my doctor and was all like, hey, I am not fucking okay. And she's all like, well, we have a problem. Because when I don't take the Adderall, I'm super tired. But when I take it, it doesn't do shit. Except make me feel not as tired. And I reached out to my doctor, and she tells me, well, we have two problems anyway. One, there's another shortage coming. So we're not even going to be able to get you your medication if we keep you on it. The second thing is, you've definitely probably built up a tolerance, and we're going to try a new medication that is going to act as Adderall, but it's not going to have the addictive components. I'm all like, in other words, it's not going to fucking wake me up. I'm going to be tired as fuck. And it takes 4 to 6 weeks to show any sign of improvement or non-improvement. And I'm like, wait, 4 to 6 weeks? Lady, I may not have 4 to 6 fucking weeks, alright, feeling the way that I do. And I just say that to express I ain't gonna go do nothing stupid. I got beautiful kids, a beautiful wife that love me at home. But like, there are days though, I was on the go from 8 o'clock all the way up till I got over here. And I'm just so tired. I'm so overwhelmed. My fingers are tingly. My anxiety is high. My hands are numb. And I'm literally at a point where I'm like, I'm not going to hurt myself. Like, I'm not a coward. I refuse to be a coward.
Not that everyone who does it.
Right. No. But that's just what I have to tell myself, to not go that deep into the thoughts I have. But today was one of those days I was like, oh my God, I don't figure something out. I got to do something to silence the fucking chaos in my head. And it's just pretty much all revolves around that. My lack of motivation, my struggles with confidence and shit. It really just comes from mass anxiety, a lot of confliction, just trauma in general. I don't really know how to really put into words to describe how intense what I'm feeling right now is, because it's hell. It's absolutely hell.
I feel like we've all been there before. Absolutely. Yeah, we've definitely all.
You struggle with anxiety, right?
Severely.
It's nice to know I'm sitting in this conversation.
I'll put it this way, because I was going to jump in when you actually brought up like fingers tingling and all that stuff.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
You know, to this day, so on my journey with anxiety, when it spiked, I had a pretty, what I considered at the time for me, my baseline anxiety was probably above average. But for me growing up, that was my average, so I wasn't too terribly concerned. Then I had my first panic attack and my baseline anxiety skyrocketed. And I was like, oh, fuck, this sucks. As I started working on the mental side of it, being like, oh, here's the things I need to do to quiet the chaos and the actions I can do to soothe myself and find just even the smallest amounts of peace. I got really proficient at that. What I still, to this day, unfortunately, which I think is something I just have to live with and work with dampering, is the physical side of it. I complain to my wife all the time. Mentally, I can have anxiety, do all this self-reassurance and like positive stuff, and also the acceptance of, hey, it's fine to have anxiety. I have it, whatever, move on. But what I hate is I get vertigo, so I get dizzy. I always told my wife that it feels like somebody wrapped my head in styrofoam. It's really weird.
Oh my god.
It's really weird, like
I know
styrofoam.
that's what that was. I've been feeling that a lot.
I'll get vertigo, and then same thing. My fingers will get all tingly. My teeth will tingle when I get really high anxiety. I don't know why. I'll get this weird teeth tingle thing. It's just, and so when I've told my wife, fuck, the mental side of it, I'm super good at, but I hate the physical side of it when.
Well, the physical side of it, when you don't have a handle on the mental.
Oh, yeah, exacerbates. Because
you're like, oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna die.
Yeah, like your heart and chest tightness, heart racing. But yeah, that was my biggest thing. Is and to this day, out of all of them, the thing I hate the most is the vertigo. When I have high anxiety days, vertigo. I'm dizzy as fuck. Just for no fucking reason, just fucking dizzy.
Sucks too, being all the way up there. That's a far fall, buddy.
Yeah, dizzy as hell. But no, so on that end, I will say I totally understand that side of it, because it's well beyond the mental side of it. The way it affects our body as a whole, all encompassing. It is something that people who I would say have the average line of anxiety, because everybody has anxiety. It's literally a normal human function. But for people who struggle with it on a clinical level, I don't think the physical side of it is really talked about as much.
It's definitely not.
And outside of panic attacks.
Coming from a person who don't have anxiety, I do
he gets more frustration than
it's like frustration, but like I have anxiety when it's necessary. There's a truck coming towards me.
Oh, he fucking handles anxiety too.
I really don't have it. I've experienced it a couple times in my life, but you guys are blowing my fucking mind right now. I never even ever had factored in at all that there's a physical aspect to that too, man. That's crazy.
Well, I think for you, the only time that your mental health gets really, really bad is when you're doing substances. For the most part, you have a fucking handle on it. Otherwise,
doing a lot better.
Everybody gets depressed sometimes, but as long as he's not on substances, he's good. And I'm so jealous.
I tell my wife the same thing, because she, again, what I'd consider the normal baseline human level of anxiety, and I'll explain my thought process, intrusive thoughts. Again, that's very common. Everybody, like a camera, I'm looking. The cameras, but when it comes to even, it's another thing of anxiety is like intrusive thoughts. Like literally, when you first start having them, you feel like a terrible person. You're like, oh my god, what the fuck's wrong with me?
Yeah.
But then you talk to everybody with high level anxiety, and you're like, oh, that shit's normal. Walking up to a banister, being like, what if I just fucking nosedived off of this? Like, no literally intent to do so, but just being like, dumb shit like that. But she was also very much in the headspace of, man, I don't even know what that's like. I couldn't imagine what that feels like. And I'm like so jealous, and I'm like, dude, fuck, that'd be nice to not know what it's like to fucking have terrible anxiety.
I worry about sometimes the stress I might put on my wife is because my wife loves me very, very much. Without a doubt, has proven over the last couple of years that woman is a ride or die for me and my children. And I feel bad because I'll be at work and I'll be struggling and I'll text her, like, blow her phone up, dude. I'm all like, yo, today is not a good day. I'm not fucking okay. I'm struggling. And she breaks down because she doesn't know how to help me. Aww. And so I've reached a point where I'm all like, fuck, maybe I should cut back on going to the wife a little bit, because I don't want my mental health to become her burden. But then at the same time, I guarantee you she's going to watch this. She's going to hear me say that and she's going to whoop my ass because she's like, no, we are a couple. Our mental health is each other's burden. My wife is just awesome like that.
I think there's definitely like the caveat to that is there's a healthy balance. One of the biggest things that really helped me is early on is very relatable. My wife, I felt terrible for because I was putting her through the fucking ringer. Somebody who had to soldier up for 2 solid years. She had to soldier up and carry everything because for 2 years I was out of fucking commission. And with that, part of my research and like just what works for me, because there's same with like talked about kids, there's no instruction manual. Same, what works for my anxiety might not work for your anxiety, might not work for Cal's anxiety. Fuck Jesse. One thing is I started really looking at my relationship with my wife, and then that broke down into my relationship with all of my other friends, family, peers. Is I was going to take the support they had available and at what capacity they could give it, but I was going to forfeit the fact that I needed it to make it. Yeah. I was like, okay, I have to make it through my anxiety. Like, if everybody left me today and I wanted to soldier through it, I have to overcome this. If my wife can provide a level of assistance and peace with that, great. If she can't, I still got to show up. And that's a really healthy place that like really
that's fair.
Helped me.
No, absolutely.
So, on that note, Jesse, as someone who doesn't really struggle with mental health as much, but is definitely has had to support someone who has. You were there through my psychotic break for how fucking long? 3 years of psychotic break. And if you guys were around in the last 6 years, whether or not you know it, you knew me during a psychotic break.
Choose a wild card. I'm going to do a break. Water break.
Oh.
Water break.
As I was going to ask him something.
Yeah, you waited. Well, I guess to be fair, he's telling us so he can cut this out easily.
That's true.
I say keep it in. Fucking keep this in. Actually, if you guys can't see, he's actually filling his cup up with hot, frothy horse piss.
Oh my God.
Hot, frothy horse
Okay.
piss.
All right.
What's your take on all of that on being the main? Because I've learned to reach out to other people or learn to work on my own stuff as well, but I used to rely so heavily on you that I was like, fuck, that's not fair. I'm so sorry. What's your take on how does it feel? Like, what do you think helped? Or what did, like,
I don't
you have
know,
to say
man.
about it, really?
Patience. You need to exhibit patience because every day is going to be different every single day. And I don't want to every day poses a new obstacle. Fucking really it does. It's different all the time. You have to be prepared and understand that I don't even know how to word it. You have to be prepared and understand that sometimes your partner's going to come at you with some shit that isn't true or is just their anxiety speaking. You have to just be honest and reassuring and provide an environment of healing and growth. And if you freak out also, they're going to freak out. You know what I'm saying? And it's important to, even if you're really feeling anger, I feel like anger is the last emotion that you need to show to your people, because yes, I'm not gonna lie,
is to make them feel more insecure.
Right, anger will drive insecurity, and I'm not gonna lie, there has been things that have just fucking got me and made me super angry.
Sometimes
especially when we were both
justifiable to be
drinking, we
angry.
used to fight so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Anger's a fair emotion to have, but often.
And I'm not saying to not feel your feelings, because I'm a huge advocate of feeling all your feelings all the way through.
Asshole when you said I'm because
Another
I'm
way
a
to
huge
express that
asshole.
feeling.
I'm a huge asshole. Even rage and anger, it's important to feel and express yourself through those. But have patience. Understand that they're not attacking you rather than acting out of trauma, and that shit is unpredictable. And so it's not your fault probably that they're going through that thing, but and it's going to feel like they're taking it out on you sometimes. But just be compassionate. Understand that they're not really coming at you, but dealing with their bullshit in the only way that they know how.
Pause. Let's break down because we addressed earlier that Crook openly said that he was like, oh, I hear you describe anxiety and holy shit, you're rocking my world right now. I didn't know any of that. So for the audience listening, if you're fortunate enough that you don't suffer from a clinical level of acute anxiety, I would like to take a moment to describe it from my perspective and maybe a more clinical level. Anxiety is something that we all have. It is our fight or flight mechanism that is literally primally just ingrained in us. So growing up, throughout human history, it was there to protect us, and it's meant to be an ally. It truly is. Anxiety is meant to be your ally, because before we had all the nice things we have, as depressed as we want to get, being like, fuck, man, life is so hard. Man, we fucking live in like what's considered luxurious for somebody back 100 years ago, and then 100 years before that, motherfuckers was living outside and fucking sleep, having to heat up their bathwater under a fire. We are extremely fortunate. The modern level of technology we have, we don't have to worry about killing something to eat. We don't have to worry about fighting for shelter. We don't have to worry about so many things that biologically we're still naturally ingrained to do.
Yes.
Henceforth, your anxiety still exists to function at the same level it did
Even though it
500 years ago.
Yeah.
When you're having a panic attack in the car, your involuntary nervous system cannot process the fact that you're having a panic attack triggered by something that's totally fabricated. And sheesh, it's not, your brain has decided whatever it is you're going to get worked up about, and it's having the same chemical response as if you were getting attacked by a fucking tiger. That's why anxiety it's really difficult to manage, because it's basically all of your alarm systems being like, you're going to fucking die, or not even die, you're in danger, you're in danger. And when something happens, whatever it is, trauma triggers, whatever it may be, upbringing, all sorts of things that can make your anxiety go from baseline human to acute clinical. When that happens, it starts to fire all the time for whatever reason. And then that's when the intrusive thoughts, and it's kind of like circle of fear, to where it's the next bad thing feeds to the next bad thing. And then first it's the anxious thought.
Basically just your evolution necessity looking for a job.
Exactly. Because it still wants to exist. And biologically, as a living organism, let alone the most advanced one on Earth, to our knowledge, as a living organism, our MO is to stay alive. That's what anxiety is trying to do. So it's like trying to find its purpose in a modern time, to where I get to drive home in my warm truck to my house and go take a hot shower and warm up my microwave dinner, when my body is like thinking every day I have to fight for that. And when it gets triggered, that's what basically I always equate it to your overprotective friend. Because when I started getting really bad anxiety, my first thing was, fuck, I want my anxiety to go away. I was like, God, I just want this to go away. I accepted it's not fucking going anywhere. Yep. It is my fucking overprotective friend that is my ride or die. My anxiety is like, I'm your you talk about your wife being ride or die. Your anxiety is like, I'm ride or die, dog. Like, I'm here. And instead, transitioning your thought process of your anxiety being this like fucking scary, monstrous entity, instead, picture it as this little fucking timid thing. It's just like when you're getting ready to go skydiving and you have what would be normal anxiety. It's being like, whoa, dog, this is dangerous. And then instead of letting your co-pilot, your anxiety, drive the car, you let them be a passenger. And instead,
like, thanks for your concern.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, hey, anxiety, I appreciate you checked in, but guess what? I am going skydiving, but I'm going with the instructor who has 1,000 bumps. I have a parachute with a fail safe on it. I'm going. I've taken all the precautions. Exactly. You're coming with me. You're going to be here, but I'm in control. I'm driving the car, because for a long time I let my anxiety drive the car. Sounds like when you're staying at home, you're letting anxiety drive the car. You're being like, oof, I don't want to go. I don't even want to go to Walmart.
Nah, fuck
things
me,
like
man.
that.
Everything you just said was fucking mind blowing, because that is such a unique way to look at it. I guess I want to ask for your advice about a particular anxiety that I have most commonly. How would I make anxiety a friend in this situation? It's a big one for me. And I'm going to warn everybody, I'm a fucking extremist. My anxiety is a fucking extremist. And I'll be at work, man. And my wife, she's a stay-at-home mom. She handles the kids, picks them up from school, handles all that shit. If I text my wife and she doesn't respond back within an hour, I immediately freak out. That's not like her. That's unusual. She's usually pretty on top of shit. I know damn well the baby hasn't slept this motherfucking long. I know damn well she ain't sleeping this long. Holy shit, what if somebody broke into the fucking house and killed my family? And I know that's almost illogical, right? Like,
No,
really,
like when he doesn't answer in the morning, especially since my mom died, I'm gonna
died
go
in
over
his
there
sleep.
and find him dead in the bed. I know what that's
dude,
like.
that makes me so happy that you guys relate because
So-
it's extreme. What would
So
you
not
do
only
that?
can I relate to that, but I also have what I feel like maybe be some advice that could help get you some peace there. Whenever I'm going to shout out a book that I read. This was the first book when I started getting very, very bad. Yeah, Dare. I've talked about it a lot of times. So I read this book. I actually recommend you enjoy reading.
Yeah.
It's also a book on tape. But even if you don't read it, I'm just going to break it down for you to help us. The basic concept of dare is each letter represents something. So D means diffuse. So we'll go through that. So first off, D, diffuse. When you have an intrusive thought, such as text your wife, you check your phone, it's been 52 minutes, and you're like, what the fuck? And I text her again, 5 minutes go by, still not texting her. You start getting those, you can immediately worst case scenario it. What if something happened to her? What if something happened to the kids? What if this and that? To diffuse that, you start to be, there's two ways to go about it. The way that I feel is the healthiest is to rationalize it. Realistically, what are the odds somebody broke into your house specifically and harmed your family? You said it yourself. Very illogical. It's not. When you diffuse it, when you go into the logical side, which is hard with anxiety, but that's where you tell it to be the passenger. When you try to offer logic to it, you put her phone down. She's changing the baby's diaper, maybe got up to cook something for whatever. Because realistically, what are the odds somebody broke into your house specifically and harmed your family? You said it yourself. Very illogical. It's not. When you diffuse it, when you go into the logical side, which is hard with anxiety, but that's where you tell it to be the passenger. When you try to offer logic to it, you put her phone down. She's changing the baby's diaper, maybe got up to cook something for whatever. Because realistically, you start to, I feel like you could probably answer this for me. Do you think your wife, you said she's a ride or die, can she handle herself?
Be like, if they did, she probably beat him down with a cat.
So
More of a proud gun owner than fucking modern day American.
Being fully confident that your wife in a situation, and we're not even saying somebody broke in your house, in a situation that is like a crisis mode, you're confident like my wife has this. Even if there were to be a crisis, she could call me an hour from now, like, oh my God, babe, it was crazy. Here's what happened. But you can comfortably know, well, my wife, she's got this. A lot of your response for that particular thing is, I'm going to assume, trauma related for a few reasons. You've had, I'm assuming, women probably not be faithful to you in the past, all sorts of things like that. So when that happens, you start to, and she's become your safety net, your rock. With that, when you feel that disconnect from her, you don't have that immediate response. That's where your fight or flight, your anxiety starts reacting.
Well, and I would imagine that don't go to the like, oh, she's cheating on me because you trust her.
Exactly. No, you
And
said
so-
she's right or die.
But no, like in the first, one of the things with my anxiety, man, is like actually within the first year, like, I did have a
It's
hard time
intrusive.
trusting.
Well, that's the intrusive thoughts, bro. It's like, and mind you, that could still happen. That thought could appear, and that doesn't mean it's valid or true. I could have a situation where my wife could go out to the bar with some friends and stay out late and go to Denny's, and I'd be like, I'm going to bed, wake me up when you're here so I know you're home. And she could wake me up at 3:30 a.m. and I could automatically just have an intrusive thought of being like, what if she didn't go to Denny's? What is more? But that don't mean that thought just popped up because when I bring the logical side, I'm like, dog, my wife is a fucking ride or die. I'm secure and comfortable in myself there. With that particular thing, you diffuse it. You just offer rational and logic to it. Here's a motherfucker about anxiety. That don't work half the time. So early on, it starts to get easier. A stands for allow. So once you have that thought, allow it, bro. That's fine. Allow the thought to exist. Stop trying to push it down like a beach ball in the water. If you go to the beach and you hold a beach ball underwater and you're just holding it, what's going to happen? Right? And if your hand slips up, what happens? It comes up, not only pops up, but violently splashes up water everywhere. That's when we treat our thoughts like that. That's very much what happens. Said you can allow that thought. Allow the thought to be like, man, it really, I'm not saying allow the thought of the horrific scenario, but allow the thought that, hey, it makes me anxious that my wife's not responding. That's fine. That exists. Once that happens, you start getting whatever it may be. So the intrusive thought cycle starts, and the physical side, your fingers start tingling, you start doing all that. If diffuse and allow doesn't start to work, which once you start getting good at this, usually those two will get you out of the anxious spell. But while you're still early on, the next one, R, is the one that comes insane. It's the hardest, but instead you run after it. When you have that anxious thought early on, you start having your physical symptoms. Your fingers get tingly. You start getting like kind of feeling. Start calling your anxiety out, because you have to teach your anxiety now at this point that it's learned, because truly, like our involuntary nervous system, it's learned that it has power over you. Not maliciously, it thinks it's keeping you safe. It's learned that, hey, if I get really big, James will fucking do the things to keep himself safe, whatever that is, which makes your life miserable. Instead, you start to run after your anxiety. And when it starts to do the things that make you be like, I don't want to go to Walmart, whatever that may be, you're nervous about your wife, so you don't want to call her, drive home and text her, run after it and bring it the fuck on, anxiety. My fingers are tingly, make my whole fucking arm tingle. Do it. Like, fucking do it. Oh, my heart's racing, blow the fuck up, heart. Do it. I'm calling you out. Oh, vertigo, I'm going to pass out. Fucking pass me out. Do it. And you start to take the edge away from your thoughts. They stop being as sharp, because your anxiety, you start to realize yourself, like, shit, this ain't as fucking strong as I thought it was. It's kind of like when
somebody's like, oh, I'm going to beat you up, and you're like, fucking, come on, bro.
Literally.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Fucking,
all right,
see
like
if you...
a bully who talks shit their whole life, and finally the kid in school stands up, and he's like, fuck you. And the bully's like, oh, dude, sorry. That's how we treat our anxiety when we run after it. The next thing, the last part, E, is engage. And that is simple as you get back to what you're doing. You're at work, get back to work. And still, let all that exist, but you engage. You just get right back into it.
Well, like, as a person with high anxiety, like, that, just the thought of doing it that way sounds scary and counterintuitive,
No,
right?
absolutely.
Like, it sounds terrifying.
But I mean, fuck, but it also sounds like really legit, too. Like,
it's kind
of like exposure therapy.
I am living proof that saved my fucking life. It saved my life.
What's that book called?
Dare. I forget his name. I wish I knew it, because what I want.
Will you text it to me?
I'm going to text it to you. I have a copy of it. If I
too.
can find my copy at home, I'll just bring it to you.
Dude,
if not, I'll find it on tape. Yeah, add the link. What I just described to you, I did in a microcosm. He fucking expands it into a galaxy. What's cool about the way he does it is, when I was reading the book, when I was really bad, he even starts the book being like, hey, I know this is going to be tough. I know that you literally, with your anxiety, the concept of sitting here and reading alone is overwhelming. You're going to finish a book with stuff. So then as you read it, throughout the book, he constantly reassures you. So I would get to a part where I'd start to be like, oh, shit ain't for me. This ain't going to work. Turn the chapter, first paragraph in the chapter. At this point, I understand you don't think this is going to work for you. Don't worry. That's very, and like, so I'm like, oh, shit.
It's the one secret weapon that I have. I'm not a reader. My wife is. Mm-hmm. And that sounds like a really good book. And even though I may not read it, I know my wife will. And then she will present it to me in a way that I will understand. Mm-hmm. And so I do have that. And I do forget that utilize my wife sometimes.
Yeah,
I do sometimes fall into a
Barry McDonald
lone wolf mentality. I'm just,
absolutely, yeah.
But no, that was like, damn, bro. Like, I could listen to you talk about that for fucking hours. Like, that was like real deep shit.
Yeah.
It was
well,
like,
and bro, I'll put it this way with me. When I got mine, again, I thought I didn't have anxiety until I went to the therapist, and the therapist was like, "Oh, tell me your first time you felt anxiety that you can remember before your panic attack." And when I told my therapist, she's like, that's acute anxiety. What you were describing in elementary school, I learned that I actually did have an anxiety problem well before that. When I had my first panic attack, it made me so miserable. We talked about this on another pod. I was suicidal for 2 years. I told my wife today, we actually reminisced on it. Not reminisce, that's a bad word. We thought back on it. We thought back on it
fondly.
We thought back on for 2 years. I was so convinced that I would end up committing suicide that for 2 years, it was actually just me deciding how I was going to do it. This is stuff I didn't tell anybody, how I was going to do it, and how to do it with the least amount of collateral damage. How to get my family primed. Yes, for 2 years, I was convinced. I just hit a day where I was like, fucking absolutely not. Abso-fucking-lutely not. So I started doing research. Good. That's when I started. I became a fucking scholar with this stuff. I started fucking every book I could read. I was just, all these books on mental health. What really brought me value and peace is, even though there was all these different perspectives and takes, there was always this like core center that made sense to me. I could read a book from 20 different people with all these different thoughts and ideologies of directions to go, but the core center of it was always the same. And once I picked off on that, I was like, oh shit, there's some real validity here. And the Dare book actually ends up talking about how with our acute and severe anxiety, we get very much into this, I'll never be normal, I'll never be the same. Almost like a jealousy of somebody like Jesse or my wife, or maybe, I don't know if your wife has bad anxiety, but the people who don't suffer bad were almost jealous. Like, if only I knew what that felt like. Other side of that coin, you have something to offer that those people never could. No disrespect, truly. But
I see what
you
you're saying.
have
That's-
something very valuable to offer to somebody in a perspective, because you can turn your anxiety into like a much more effective tool to
Yeah.
to be very like go look at some of the most successful
They
people
say
on
the
Earth.
same thing
Yeah.
about ADHD too.
Absolutely.
You know, some disorders can become a superpower, I suppose.
That would-
It's all boils down to, just like we said on the last episode, accepting yourself where you're at and making it work for you.
That's a dream. A part that you'll get in the Dare book even is he talks about how. So we'll go really quick back into anxiety itself. When it gets, think of it like a puffer fish, fucking puffs up to intimidate you, to trigger you into getting somewhere safe. Your anxiety does the puffer fish thing. It gets big and scary, and then you respond based off of that. The problem with anxiety is it actually is a deceiver. We love him. He's our friend. Him, her, it. We love it truly is there to be your ally, but it is a liar. It's very much like if I really didn't want to go on a roller coaster and I was being dragged to a roller coaster, I'm like, dude, I can't. My fucking doctor said, dude, literally my doctor said that I can't get on a roller coaster because of it. It's like you just start saying things to try to get out of this situation that you feel insecure about. And so what your anxiety, it'll do that for you. It'll start just lying to you all the time. So your anxiety, when you're worried about your wife not responding to you, it's literally just lying to you, whispering lies in your ears to be like, hey, what if this happened? We should do something. We should respond. And that's where you have to start to quiet it. And and again, give it its space to exist. Don't expect it's going to leave the room. It can be in the room with you, but you're just like, hey, you can be here, dog. I appreciate that.
Well, that's the other thing to remember too, is that even if it gets lower for a while, it'll come back full force sometimes.
Yeah, that was the next part.
Because honestly, I'm in the middle of struggling to regain control over my anxiety since my mom died. Because no matter how many times, I'm sorry, but no matter how many times someone tells you that it's not your fault that someone close to you killed themselves, it's still there. It never goes away, that thought. And so I'm right back in the thick of it, and I'm having to relearn.
And a good way to contextualize it is all the work that you do with your anxiety. There's no manual for it. So what worked for me, what you take from your wife reads the Dare book, or you do, and you, or not even the Dare book. There's the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. There's My Little Book of Inner Peace. There's the Art of Being 10% Happy. All these different things. That's so many books, but all of them have a very, very core root to them. So once you find what starts to work for you, say you start to get some progress, 2-3 months go by and you're like, holy shit, dude, look at me go. But something happens, whatever it might be to trigger it. And then it gets worse because it's almost like, I knew it wouldn't fucking work. I fucking knew it was too good to be true.
Think for me too, part of why it came back so hard.
I have experienced that.
Yeah, well, and that's it. Really quick, because I will keep going because this is a very important topic to me.
I can tell. No, that's awesome.
A good way to contextualize it is you did all your studying. So as you're getting better, you're studying, you're applying your knowledge that you're learning, you're trying new things. So you're basically like, you're taking a quiz. Every day you wake up, it's almost like you're doing a quiz. And sometimes you get the answer right, sometimes you get it wrong, but you're doing quizzes. Eventually you start getting better at your quiz and you start getting more and more right answers. Boom, something happens. Alley scenario, I've had things that have happened. You said you had experience with it. The fucking final comes up, or the fucking the SAT comes up. Like whatever it is, it's like you've been quizzing all day, and then the fucking test shows up.
Or you did so well in your class that you thought, oh, it's all there. I'm not going to need to go back to it. And that's what happened with me. Like, oh, cool. I'm better now. Like, everything's good. And then that came in like a fucking haymaker. And I really thought that even though I know better, I was like, cool, I'm all better now. Like, I don't have to fucking do this shit anymore. And it's kind of like recovery, dude. Like, I have to stay on it. Otherwise, it fucking comes and smacks you in the face out of nowhere.
I think
so. Yeah, I will. I'm going to sit back from the mic, or otherwise I'll keep talking a lot. But I hope anything I add there.
Absolutely. Honestly, that whole conversation has been very insightful for me, and I will have to give some of those a try, because right now where I'm at with my anxiety, it is torturous. It is hell. It is just unlike anything you could imagine, and it disrupts a lot of my peace. It disrupts a lot of my life, my relationship with people. It affects a lot. And I would definitely say my anxiety definitely fucking runs my ass. And I would like to change that. You brought up how you reached a point where you're like, I don't need to do this anymore. I don't have to try so hard. I'm almost like, you're cured, you're good. And that really hit me deep, because I'm all like, maybe that's my fucking problem is I'll hit a good period and then think I'm good and stop giving a fuck about continuing to maintain it. And I can definitely see myself doing that. I've probably done that throughout the course of my life and never was able to identify that I was doing
I
it.
think you're identifying it right now, which is really important, because
Yeah,
I would say that's an
absolutely.
accurate assumption. And a good way to think about it is if you went to the gym and got fucking yoked because you worked your ass off, worked your fucking ass off, you ate better, you did functional workouts, you did the things and you achieved your goals and was like, looked in the mirror and said, holy fuck, I look great, and stopped going to the gym for a month. What's going to happen?
You're going to fucking lose
You're going to
Yep.
lose everything.
Yep.
Because it's always a
That's
work
not
in
to
progress.
say that starting over and having to rebuild those muscles isn't worth it.
Here's another. I'll make another gym analogy. You ever heard of muscle memory?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, muscle memory and things like that. Once you've trained those things, and that I apply that with going to the gym, and also I do anything that's like a physicality sport, like my jiu-jitsu, MMA, boxing, muscle memory. If I stopped doing jiu-jitsu for 5 years, I would definitely fucking lose a huge fucking portion of it. But if you went and put me back on the mat and gave me 2 or 3 weeks, I'd start to be like, oh shit, oh yeah, I know this is my fucking home, dude. I get this. But because you're still gonna have, it's not like you lost it all. You didn't lose the work you put in.
Really starting over.
Yeah, you just
maybe you were at 0 before and you got to like 50. Now you're starting at 10. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that a good thing for you to put and we will just add the caveat to the fact that everything we're saying in a healthy context as we're saying this, it sounds like sunshine and rainbows and there's so much value in it. But the understanding,
value, but yeah,
understanding that realistically, I'm a true testament to how effective making those legitimate change. I swear, bro, when you talk about how you say it's literally a living nightmare, nobody understands, bro, I fucking get it. If me and you could sit just one-on-one and we could really talk one day, I'd be able to really express a little bit more. I bet I'd say shit and you'd be like, no fucking way, me too. And then I'd same thing. You'd say something like, dog, fucking same. I bet there's a lot more of a relatable situation between us. And I can tell you, bro, making the things that we just talked about, one, shifting my perspective into that scope, and then also applying the knowledge that comes with it, literally saved my life. So 2 years ago, or not 2 years ago, when this all happened, mine started about 5 years ago. When that happened, 2 solid years of I was convinced it was over. I was so convinced it was over that this is it for me. Flash forward to now, I have a very successful business. I feel like I'm very well respected in the community. I do a lot of things. My music, I thought I was ready to quit. I've put out since then 5 albums. It's just one of those things where any point when you think, fuck, this is it. This is fucking it. I don't see a way out.
Can I ask an odd question?
Dude.
Processing everything
Yeah.
you're saying. How old are you?
I'm 36.
You're 36. I'm 31. And so to hear, I just wanted to put an age on my light because one thing that I'm really bad at is I feel like if it's not working now, it's never going to.
Not true.
And
The opposite, bro. Usually we have in our society a very negative perspective of age and what that even is, especially in the Western side of things, like the U.S. For instance, it's pretty culturally normal for masses to clown on people for trying things as they get older. Even rap.
Yeah,
We're
the
all
fuck is
rappers.
that shit?
There's ageism in rap.
Oh, yeah.
Ageism in
Oh,
rap
how
being
you
like,
30 years
you're a
old, so
30-year-old
fucking-
rapper. You're a
yeah.
35-year-old rapper. Now, if you decided it,
Like, how old is Snoop Dogg, bitches?
Well,
Like,
well,
you know?
it's once you start to obliterate through that idea that somebody holds, and fuck, they can hold that idea. I don't hold that idea, bro. I'm 36. I am in the best fucking shape. I am the most talented. I am the most secure, financially stable I've been in my entire life. 36, bro. 30. When I hit 30 back then, when I was still going through my stuff, I was like, "Fuck, I'm 30. I'm fucking 30, dude." Like, bro, if I
Existential crisis there.
Bro, if 36-year-old me could go hang with 25-year-old me, I'd peep that motherfucker on so much game. He'd have no motherfucking idea what hit him, bro. 36-year-old me would fucking take 25-year-old me and be like, you fucking don't know shit. And I'm gonna prove it. It's such a normal perspective to have because of society. It's not the case at all. If you really ever want to give yourself some research, look up actors, artists, athletes who hit their fucking big break late into their 40s.
Oh,
Things
yeah.
like that. Whitney Houston was a big one. And you ever watch the show Impractical Jokers?
Oh, yeah.
They were fucking trying for years. They fucking finally got their first pilot aired when they were in their late
Bert
30s.
Kreischer, dude.
Bert
He literally just had a fucking video
Jelly
go...
fucking Roll. Jelly
Yeah,
Roll. One of the
bro.
biggest artists
So
on the
many.
planet right now.
Yeah.
It's just, so if that's, I'll tell you right now, if that's your perspective, all that is your anxiety doing what I said it does. What's it do? It fucking lies to us, bro. Bro, you're 31, fucking young man. You're a young man with a fucking in the scope of life. You're fucking not even. You're barely starting, dog.
Well, and it's weird because I feel like maybe it's just because of the fact that we all have anxiety or whatever. But like, I feel like it's very normal to hit 30 and be like, come face to face with the fact that, oh shit, I'm gonna die someday. Like, I don't have time. I gotta fucking do the things and da 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 da. The weird part is okay. So many people are like, I have no time, and so they're like, I'll just give up. If you have no time, you better run after that shit, bro. That's why I'm so fucking hardcore on this, because I'm like, it's limited, bro.
Manipulating my anxiety to being in my favor. You want to know what it's done for me? I live my motherfucking life like a video game character. Like that ass. I customize myself. I fucking go on side quests. I literally view it from that scope. I am the main character in my story. I'm not saying that with ego. I'm not saying that with any fucking kind of edge to it. I am the main character in my story. I fucking live like that. Because
I don't think that's egotistical at all. I actually think that's a very optimistic way to, especially being a gamer, myself, to look at it like that, man.
Bro, when you get a dope fucking open world game, and the first thing you do is make your character, you sit there and fucking play around with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
You make your character look cool. You do the things. You're like, hell yeah, this motherfucker's dope. Do that with you, bro.
Well, look how you customize your crib, bro.
Exactly, bro. I'll say that, everybody, because I was just over there not too long ago. Beautiful fucking home. James, you never thought you'd have that, dog. I've known you for a long time. Do you, like, if I would have fucking been able to go back in time and snatch young James up and brought him in that house and be like, this is going to be yours one day, you probably be like, fucking fucking shit. Again, it's all that perspective, bro. You talk about being 31 and not achieving stuff. Come on, dog. Like,
for me, man, just the hard thing is the lack of motivation. And I see my friends and stuff. You guys have the Classy Broad podcast. I think that's beautiful. I think what you guys talk about on this show is beautiful. I think the energy and the interaction you guys have with the people you have brought on so far is absolutely amazing. And see, that's when I started Wickedly Righteous Universe, or I shouldn't say when me and my wife started Wickedly Righteous Universe, my wife made the logo. I looked into how to get the LLC, how to get the logo trademarked and shit. But there was so much more. And still to this day, there's so much I want to do. I want to do Once Upon a Rhyme podcast. There's so many fucking things that I want to do, but I don't know how to fucking push myself to execute it because I'm a perfectionist. And if I don't think it's going to be fucking perfect, then it's trash and it's a waste of fucking time. And then I find myself sitting in this fucking
I have so much
pattern.
No, say all of us. We're so fucking relatable, bro. So fucking relatable, dude.
And it's hard. And then of course it triggers the anxiety, and then that triggers depression, and then the fucking ADHD is just like, well, some fucking shit.
Bro, let's just say I don't know if I'll be able to remember all of it.
Say some of it.
The last thing you said, I've been thinking about this the whole time, the way that all of our numerous mental illnesses affect each other and just feed off of each other, and it becomes like a big fucking crazy thing. That shit sucks, dude.
Like, well, it's probably be popping.
If we grew up like years ago, we'd all be fucking institutionalized. We'd all be lobotomized, drooling in a chair right now.
I actually was institutionalized when I was
me too.
13.
Yeah.
They fucking took me from my parents. So, but you were saying,
I so relate to the feeling of like being a perfectionist and being like, oh, if I'm not gonna fucking do it right, then I may as well not fucking do it. First of all, you will never make progress without making some progress, even if it's just an inch.
And that's a fucking fact.
Bro, and like, you know how many like YouTubers that I love to watch? Like, now I'm not as into tarot cards and shit, but there's a tarot reader that I used to watch, Chloe... Fuck, I can't remember her last name. Chloe Taylor. Yes, shout out Chloe Taylor. And she talked about being brave enough to do things, suck at things, so that you could become better. And even like, I just made my first shirt the other day, and like, first one, dude, I fucked it all up. I forgot to fucking check for wrinkles, and it tore up the middle, but like, next one was great. And I'm not always going to make progress that quickly, but like, you have to start. You have to, like, said it earlier. Everybody has to start somewhere. And you said something before that, and I can't remember what I wanted to say. I was very excited about it, but
so two quick things I'll add really quick is one, Ellie and I actually have talked about the perfectionism side of it a lot. I suffered with it really bad. Part of my transformation is abandoning that. We've talked about. I literally told you, I was like, dude, I've gotten so much better. It just fucking abandoning it. Same thing when we'd record, or I'd record by myself. I would record something and either I would you record a verse over and over and over, and I'd keep a couple takes.
He would
I'd
call
yeah,
himself
and-
a fucking idiot, imbecile piece of
Oh,
shit
yeah, dude.
in between.
Oh, bro.
Oh, you're all
It was
fucking.
crazy.
Oh, yeah, I would
He'd
get
fucking up and
like, yeah, I'd get really. I'd be like, God, it's bad.
No, I do
negative
the same
self-talk.
shit,
So
dude.
I would do that, but then say the song's finished, then I would start listening, and I'd get insecure, so I'd overproduce it. I'd compress the vocal too much. I'd have the beat go, and then
Dude,
I'd
same.
go back and I'd listen to the song that I tried to fix, and I'd fuck the whole motherfucker
So
up.
the best
And then I'd be
advice-
like, oh, I just want to go back to what it was.
Yes.
Now, when I start fucking vibing, I'm just like, I'm a lot more gentle on myself. I'll also give myself space, because there's times I'll record something and I might not particularly be feeling it, and I'll fucking shut down the studio, go to bed. Even not the next day or two later, go boot up my studio and be like, you fucking killed that shit, bro. What the
Dude.
fuck was you thinking, bro? You
So,
ate that motherfucker.
The best piece of advice I ever got was actually from one of our friends back in the day who was a huge supporter of our music. When we were DSYNH and we were recording in a fucking styrofoam studio, bro, lad. And I would be like, dude, I'm trying to get right. And he literally, you just gotta know this dude. He has this energy that's just, and he was like, sometimes you just have to take a step back. Take a couple days and don't fucking listen to that shit. And then listen to it again. And like, he was so right. It's hard to do, especially when you're in a, you know what I mean? But like, if you're in it and you're not getting what you want, step back.
And also, you're not listening to your own artwork, your own creation. You're not seeing it with a fan's eyes, or you're not hearing it with a fan's ears. That's one thing to, like, you're going to be, it's the most cliche thing ever, but everybody's their own biggest critic. That is a fact.
Oh, true.
We really
Yeah,
are.
big true.
There's been times where I've went to like your studios and been with friends and went and spit a verse that I fucking mucked up and didn't nail, and was like, oh, that was a good dry run. And they'll be like, killed it, bro. I'm like, dog, killed it. Like, or engineer will be like, fuck, good to go. And I'm like, no, good to go. Like, no. Like, from the outside perspective, they're like, yo, you ate that. But my perspective was like, no, I didn't punch in correctly on this part. I didn't emphasize this word how I contextualized
envisioned it
Yeah,
when you-
yeah. So so you're not hearing or seeing yourself as a fan. You're seeing yourself as a critic. And if you allow that to continue to be your scope, you're going to pick your shit apart. Like, the last thing I'll add, because again, I don't want to lose the thought, is the last thing
Could
I'll
have
add
took this episode off.
Yeah. Me and James just the whole time we're like,
I'm talking a minute. He always Kanye's me.
I
bro.
said pause like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Pause. And then
Yeah,
I'm still
but
here.
no, I've really enjoyed everything you've said. It has actually been very insightful, and it has given me new perspectives to look at my mental disorders from.
The last thing I'll quickly add, because I do think I obviously take where we can ask the questions that we previously planned that we always fucking just get on a tangent about, but also because I truly, part of my self journey is being self-aware that I take up a lot of attention. Just for whatever reason, I am an attention whore. So on that side of it, but also I'm just
An attention
kidding.
hoarder. Yeah, both.
This month.
Yeah, I'm also just trying to like rewatch the podcast. There's times where I'm like, bro, let somebody else say something, please. Stop talking.
It's all right.
That's
This
that
has been
insecurity
awesome.
though too. Like,
Yeah.
'cause
The last thing I will add before we can move on to some other things is you brought up earlier is that motivation side of it. Now, I don't know if you've heard this perspective before. It's commonly talked about, but in my scope, make it as digestible as I can. But you have to stop taking your relationship with motivation as serious as you take your relationship with discipline. Because motivation, that literally is what you have when you are motivated to do something. That's the fucking definition of the word, is I am motivated to do so. You can do anything when you're motivated. That's the whole point. If I'm motivated to go to the gym, that shit's easy. If I'm motivated to go record a song tonight, that shit's easy. Because I love when I'm motivated, because I am. There's a lot of times I am. But when I'm not motivated, which is more often than not actually, my relationship with discipline is much more important. Because I made a promise to myself, I'm disciplined, I'm going to do that. I, like, for instance, I do it with so many aspects of life. That's with me in particular. Like, I had a lot of insecurities about a lot of different things. So when motivation was there, I would work at it. But when the motivation left, it would teeter off. And that was with my music, with my diet, with my fitness, all these things. So once I started getting a healthier, more intimate relationship with discipline, I started being like, okay, for instance, I go to the gym every day, but I'm mad that I'm not getting bigger, and I want to be bigger. I want to put on size, but I would leave the gym and I'd go have McDonald's and a Baja Blast and all these different things. And then like when it's time to like be healthy, it was just easy not to. Discipline took over when I was like, dog, like fucking stay small then. Like that choice. Yeah, like don't gain that confidence you're looking for. Same with music. I have an album I want to get done, but every night I go to work, I'm tired, I put the kids to bed, it's time for bed, I have maybe 2 or 3 hours to myself. Last thing I want to do is anything but fucking scroll on my phone. But discipline checks in. I'm like, dog, you got to get your song done.
And then he records his verses for the Classy Broad
yes,
songs that we're supposed to perform soon.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes,
but
does.
so without circling the drain on it, your relationship with discipline is much more important than motivation. Motivation, the definition of the word, literally is that you're motivated to do it. Discipline is the fact that it's like, man, I didn't want to show up today, but look where the fuck I'm at. I'm here. I didn't want to do it. I did it. I'm disciplined. And then discipline becomes repetition, and repetition becomes results, and results become goals, and fucking goals become achieved. That simple.
So many things. Okay, so motivation. I don't know if you caught the ADHD hacks episode. That just doesn't come. You have to create it through action, and that's something
I have heard that from many people.
It's fucking hard, but
a huge support group that I have. My employers actually.
Lean closer into the mic, James.
Oh, one of the biggest supports I have in my life, aside from my wife and my kids, is my employers at Able Hands. They have been very supportive, very patient, very understanding that I am wired differently, that I have mental health struggles.
you would think they would.
And but from a business aspect too, I could also see 100 different reasons why to fucking get rid of the nut job.
I know your employers very well, obviously, and they're very dear friends of mine and great human beings.
And to my homegirl Monica Rue is my supervisor, my boss first and foremost, but aside from being my employer, she is also a really good friend of mine, and she has also preached to me that sometimes in order to find that motivation, I do just need to get up and do it. But then I'm also stuck in that mindset of well, can't fucking do it without fucking motivation. But I also am at least intelligent enough to know that it has to start somewhere, and you said it fucking beautifully. My relationship with discipline is gonna be the most important relationship, because you create motivation, and in order to go in action you gotta be disciplined. And so this whole episode has been
blown.
It really fucking is. I really think I needed to be here, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm so glad you're here. My anxiety has been so fucking high. I'm gonna be honest with you, honey. I almost canceled today.
I honestly had a feeling. I was like, I hope.
But I'm just not built like that. I made an arrangement, and I've seen what you guys have been doing with the show. I love what you guys are doing. I wanted to be a part of it. But it's one of those days where I was all like, dude, I don't want to do this. I don't want to fucking do anything. I just want to fucking go home after work.
What I want to say too, I appreciate you for being patient through there's always a little freaking hiccup for some reason. I swear to God, it's like the universe being who really wants to be on the show.
No, I get it, man. I have a studio too.
I want to add to what you just said is you literally proved that everything we just talked about is effective.
Yes.
You already showed you can do it. Yep. Your anxiety told you to cancel today, and for whatever reason, unknowing to you, you were able to tell your anxiety, sorry, buddy, you're not in charge.
It's because I tried to keep my word.
Exactly. Whatever that was. But just the small wins, bro, take that as a small win. Today, you told your anxiety that it wasn't driving. And that's as simple as that. If you can do it with this podcast, what else could you do it with? Everything else, bro.
I've been holding this. I'm constipated with it. I'm on my period.
I didn't laugh one fucking time. I didn't say shit. I was letting it be. And then you had to pop off with that, and I just lost my shit.
This bitch.
Oh, God.
Okay.
God damn it.
On the fucking subject of discipline, I would like to add that's something that, again, Chloe Taylor taught me. A lot of our problems with self-hatred is we have not shown ourselves that we can trust ourselves. And the way to do that is to make commitments to yourself and keep them. And that's where that discipline goes to. You are building that trust with yourself. So when you hit those moments when things are hard, you can be like, you know what? I got me because I know I trust myself because you built that. It really is so good. That's where bro, I'm not going to lie. I think about killing myself almost 24/7. Literally almost 24/7, especially right now because of everything that's been happening. But I tell myself, I've had myself this whole fucking time, day in and day out. I got this. Tomorrow is gonna be different, or maybe the next day. But I know that I know that I can trust myself to go after the things that I want, like this. You know what I mean? I want the classy broadcast. I'll straight up stay up their fucking asses because This is my
Yes,
reason
she
for
does.
being alive, dude. I trust myself now to say, you know what? It doesn't matter whether I feel like doing it or whether it's a lot of work or whether one day I'm going to die. And can I say that I did what I wanted to do with my life?
Goddamn. Nah, that was some of the deepest shit I think anybody has said all night. And I get very rarely do I really express this because there's a lot of things in my life that I have to watch what I say. I have to watch how I say things because there's always a motherfucker somewhere plotting my demise, you know what I mean? But myself, especially lately, I also have those suicidal thoughts. And it's not that I want to die, but I just
Don't want to feel this way.
I just want what I'm feeling
You want
to
it to.
fucking stop.
That was all of my suicide ideations when I was going through it really bad. It was that I didn't want to die. It was actually the opposite. I fucking didn't want to die at all, not even a little bit. I just wanted what I was feeling to stop, and I had convinced myself at that time that it wouldn't stop. That's why the suicidal thoughts came into play. Once I started realizing, like, fuck, I got a lot more control over this than I thought. Then, because I'm fortunately, and this has been a while now, we've talked about this, I've fortunately, and I'm not saying I haven't regressed or taken a step backwards and fallen back into some dark feelings, but I'm one of the people for the better part of like 2 years now, I've actually hit that kind of point where I'm like, man, I fucking thank God I had a panic attack. Because that shit, it might have spiraled me into fucking like fucking pit. But I fucking, if it threw me out into the fucking winter tundra, I walked out wearing a fucking polar bear coat. That's it. Yeah, I was like, I walked out 10 pounds heavier with a fucking fur coat on, bro. Like, that's how I felt it. And the only, so I brought up, we are the main characters of our own stories. My perspective is the only thing I can really offer. But that being said, one way I try to motivate people is that I'm a testament to what you can truly achieve and overcome once you start being disciplined. But me, bro, stubborn. I'm a stubborn motherfucker. I'm stubborn. I'm not going to settle for things that don't like, it doesn't like satisfy me, or that I, for my own personal reasons, like that I don't feel peace with. So I'll be stubborn and I'll work really hard at it. And I dropped out of school at 16, failed all my classes up until then, decided to drop out, never went to college, anything like that. Literally went right into the oil field at 16 years old. No education beyond my GED. I natural build, everybody watching, if you guys knew me even back in the day, my natural build is Snoop Dogg build. That fucking gangly, fucking tall.
But he's white.
That like really, that Snoop Dogg build. The first time I ever recorded a song, I recorded with my friends. It was atrociously bad. I would try to show it. I was so insecure. I didn't even like showing people, but other people were on it. So they'd go show people. We'd go to like a house party and like, dude, check out the song. And literally, you could watch people in the room when my part came on.
It's really good.
Fucking boss. All of those things. I was the weakest link in the room with my. You really can't relate, motherfucker. You fucking can't. You just one of those assholes.
This bitch came out the womb.
All those things I just told you, bro. Right now, with my music, I'm fucking extremely confident. I'm proud of who I am, where I'm at. So much the same people who used to like clown on me or whatever that may be, they're like, holy, like, fucking much respect. Wow, like here's my favorite song and this and that. Being able to stay disciplined with that, and then on top of that, I'm a business owner, and I think I'm doing pretty well. High school dropout, 16 years old. People wouldn't have expected that. Then with the gym, my natural walk around weight is like 180 pounds. I weigh 225 pounds, bro, because I fucking eat and work out how I'm supposed to. I don't do steroids. I don't none of that, because I was like, I want to. I was stubborn enough that I was like, I want to. And once I learned I could, when I'm like, I want to, and I found out I could, all right, I am my video game character. I am him. And that's where, ego aside, I am him, and everybody. I want like you to go home and look in the mirror and be like, I'm fucking him, bro. I'm fucking him. That's my biggest thing. So
I wanted to talk about, like you said, that you're like, there's all these people out here plotting my demise, right? Have you heard of rejection sensitive dysphoria?
First off, I don't even think I could fucking say that.
Dysphoria is when you have this thought about something that's like entirely true. Like, brain just kind of made it bigger than it is, right? It's rejection sensitive dysphoria. It comes with ADHD and stuff, right? And it's your brain being like, you know what? Everyone hates me. And it's basically that part of your brain that's like, I'm going to reject other people before they reject me, because being rejected fucking hurts. And so your brain tells you that everyone hates you, that everyone's doing this, everyone's doing that. And 9 times out of 10, like, I'll be honest with you, with your letters from the grave, dude, I hadn't listened to it before yesterday. I haven't listened to a lot of your stuff, and it's not because I don't care about you. It's just because I'm focused on so much other shit, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that we forget as people with rejection sensitive dysphoria, is that everybody's just kind of their own life. Most of the time, it's not personal at all. You know what I mean? But we take it that way because, well, first of all, we have felt like a failure our entire life, because ADHD within the context of capitalism makes us feel like failures. And our parents and like, there's generations, like, they didn't know how to be like, oh, this person has ADHD, here's how I can accommodate them. They just said, oh, you're a stupid fucking idiot and you don't care about anything else, right? I don't know about you, but that's what it was for me. Everybody made me feel fucking stupid, didn't care, was lazy. I only listened to the things that I cared about, and like, that was just my fucking prefrontal cortex not working the same way as them. And so we pick up all this insecurity, not just from living with ADHD in general, but also the way that our parents talk to us becomes the way that we talk to ourselves. And so everything that we hear when we're children, we start to treat ourselves that way. And it takes a long time to unlearn that and say, oh, that's their baggage. That's not mine.
Goddamn. No, maybe.
I doctored on you.
I put a lot of energy into not killing myself. Okay?
No, but goddamn, no. I've never considered. I've never heard of that, but I've never really been introduced to that either. So again, I think one of the biggest problems with people that struggle with mental health is not in a bad way, but I'm gonna use the word ignorance, because if we are not introduced to different, more optimistic perspectives, we are stuck trying to channel and balance ourselves with very limited mental resource.
Absolutely.
And what was the term you just used?
Rejection sensitive dysphoria.
Rejection sensitive dysphoria.
I think what happens is that society's so focused on trying to shame us into being normal, which really means neurotypical. We are neurodivergent, which means that we are different from the typical what do you fucking... I don't know. Our neurons work differently than the typical person, right?
Synapses.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, when you try to low from that low, you need to be normal, but you never learn about that person. You never learn about why it's this way, why it's that way, and how to work with that. And like, you fuck with TikTok at all? Brother. There's so much good. And you are what? Social media wise.
So I've learned a lot about ADHD on TikTok. Follow my ADHD adventure and shit like that. But I'm not really as big on social media as like I used to be back in the day. Lord knows, like, for some reason in the day, I posted my whole fucking life on social media. I still to this day.
I still do. I don't give a fuck.
No, see for me though,
you don't want to see it.
I don't like, and to this day, I've never really been able to identify why I did that, why I felt the need to do that, other than I felt isolated. I didn't really have friends.
I think you did it because of rejection sensitivity dysphoria is probably why you did that.
Fuck,
a way to even simplify that, the terminology for that is basically it's saying that by being rejected, you're hypersensitive to rejection, which leads to the dysphoria, which is a misconception of what's taking place. So you feel rejected, therefore you interpret it. It's kind of like talked about. A good example would be sharing a song and being like, I poured my fucking soul into this song. I love it. I'm so proud of it. I'm going to share it. Check the Facebook the next day. 2 people liked it. And those 2 people aren't your peers and your friends that you care about. So you feel rejected. Therefore, it evolves into being like, well, fuck them, bro. Man, this motherfucker don't want to support me. I don't want to support him. So it starts because that's the dysphoria. That's the dysphoria side. Not knowing that like, there's a chance it didn't even hit my news feed or Callie's, or I hadn't been on my phone all day, or I woke up and my fucking kid was puking and fucking I was late for work and I heard like being like, oh shit, they have all these other objectives outside of me.
Bald Bomber podcast. I've been fucking meaning to watch that shit for a week, and I just haven't gotten to it. Shout out to Jesse Reed.
And also, I'm one of those people, and I feel like a lot of people might fall in this too. I've listened to everything you've dropped. I'm just not a very vocal dude anymore. I'm just not. Now, what I will do is when I see you...
I will say that you had said something very similar to what he's saying, and it did hit me, and it honestly, like, I won't lie, it made me feel kind of like a jackass, because I made a few posts. I'm all like, where the fuck are all my supporters at? Like, y'all are supposed to be my friends. Y'all are supposed to fucking be my people. And I'm over here pouring my fucking soul into an art form.
Exactly.
And nobody says shit. And then when you turn around and you mention how you just recently discovered you have a lot of silent supporters. I was like, holy fuck. Silent supporters probably are a thing.
I'm not a big,
big time.
and like, it's not just you. I'm not vocal with a lot, just in general, in the sense of, I don't think that me saying or sharing, doing something on social media, what I will do is when I see you in person, I'll fucking give you your fucking props and I'll hand you your flowers. I'll be like, that shit was fire in person. That's much more
and that
important.
Is more,
that's
when you
more
really
important
look
to me.
at it, that
like,
is more.
Who gives a fuck about a bro? That's how I interpret it. Because, for instance, when one of my favorite artists, say fucking J. Cole or Russ or Kendrick Lamar, somebody drops a song, I don't jump in their comment section. I'm like, yeah, I love this song.
Fuck, neither do I. Y'all got me feeling like a real jackass.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
but if you were able to talk to that person, you'd be like, oh my fucking god, bro, fuck, your shit is so funny.
Right.
So Jesse said something to me the other day just on the subject of you feeling like a jackass. I told him, I said, dude, I'm so sorry that I've been so selfish in our relationship for so long. I just don't know how people stay out of their heads. I don't know how people do that. Because I will get so focused on what's going on in my head that I won't even fucking hear him talking to me sometimes.
Dude, I do that to Allie.
I've been talking
And
this whole time.
Yeah, what if this whole time? What if we went back and watched the episode and the whole time Jesse was just like...
He said,
We just keep watching just like...
he said, dude, it's you. When you've lived in your head your whole life, you don't know any other way. It's not like you did it to be a fucking asshole.
Well, and here, actually, we're going to get deep. Two things I want to get deep on. First, directed at James. I'm going to be 100% honest with you, and this is like some juice for the podcast. These guys know this, but I actually... a few weeks back, I had actually unfriended you on Facebook.
I saw.
I don't know if you noticed.
I did.
Here's my reason, and I'll just be honest with you. It's the same thing as that rejection dysphoria. Mine was the same, and the way I contextualize it is because, personally, for people new watching, understand a lot of history.
So much.
And so that being said, I felt like I have always been one of the biggest advocates in your life for like positivity, change, support, all the things you do. I had to bat for you a lot, had your back on a lot of things. And then once we had our fault, like multiple times we'd have these falling in and outs where our most recent time reconnecting, I just felt like we had a pretty good solid middle ground. Well, when I started kind of getting myself just being honest hurt, which I should have just reached out to you, but I was at a phase of my life, which is also healthy, where I'm like, hey, if it bothers me, I don't have to justify it action. If something bothers me, if I wanted to stop talking to my best friend tomorrow, I don't have to justify that action. If it doesn't sit right with me, I don't have to justify that. But I could also offer some fairness and be like, well, here's my justification. The reason I did it is when I'd recently chilled with your house, we got into some mental health stuff. We talked about engineering on the studio, and I just had a good, healthy back and forth, talked about your house, and we just had this really good conversation. Well, then, not too long after that, when you would post stuff, I would love react it, or I would comment like killed this shit, or like when Paul would do your collabs and I'd comment on those, and like stuff like that would happen, and that's kind of where social media is too. There's a chance I did that and you didn't even see it because algorithms
Bro, I'm
or
telling
whatever.
you how often fucking people comment
And you don't realize. Well, that would happen. Well, then after that had happened, you'd make posts like, oh, if you don't want to support me, fuck it, I don't want to support you. And I was just like, oh, I get it, because I've been there. I understand that feeling and that frustration of feeling like I don't think James is lashing out at everybody. He's just frustrated right now. Well, then the day I had ended up unfriending you was because you made a post that was like, hey, I know I've been really negative lately, but I do want to give a shout out to the people who've been there for me. And you tagged Crook, Callie, Austin, Tone. You tagged a bunch of artists, and I didn't get a mention. And it like really actually sincerely hurt my feelings. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I thought I was one of the people who was in your corner. Me. So then my immediate response, opposed to like even opening an old wound or causing drama, I was just like, man, I'm just going to like distance myself from it. And I just unfriended. I didn't do it maliciously. I didn't do it spitefully. I did it and just being like, man, when I see this, it hurts my feelings. I'm just going to like avoid that in the future. And like going fully aware. And anytime I see you, I was just going to be like, hey, what's up, dog? Good. Like, that shit just hurt my feelings. That was the reason that took place.
I can see that, and I will apologize. And
you don't have to, bro.
I am going to, because I don't want to bring too much negativity into such a beautiful podcast, and we have had such a beautiful fucking episode.
Bro, negativity, it doesn't have to be negative. You can share your thoughts, bro, and it can be healthy. So
absolutely.
Share it.
If I can be honest, I feel very conflicted when it comes to you.
Fair.
I fucking love you, bro.
Same.
Like, I do. One of the biggest things that I struggle with, and maybe I have borderline bipolar disorder, I don't fucking know, but I will literally wake up some days and be all about peace and love. And then I will wake up the next day and vow to fucking smite every fucking person that ever hurt me.
Relatable.
You and I have talked multiple times. We have apologized to each other. We are good. But when I get into my head, I am still very, very fucking angry at a couple individuals. Individuals that you ganged up on me with.
Yeah.
Yes, I know this.
And
I'm mad at them too.
you have apologized to me, and I do forgive you. But I go through spats, which is not your fault. Is not your fault. But I go through spats where I will get angry about it again, and everybody that came at me on behalf of those pieces of shit is still an enemy somewhere in my mind.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to you. Hold on, let me finish this off. That's not fair to you, Nick, and I will apologize to you for that. It's something I've always battled with. I could literally some days wake up and love my parents unconditionally, and then some days I wake up and I'm all like, dude, my parents were really fucking mean to me. And then there's days where I will come across somebody and I'm all like, man, that dude has come a long way in his life. He's a pretty good dude now. But you know what? Nah, dude, you fucking tried to punk me out fucking 6 years ago, dude. And I'm still fucking mad about it, dude. That has nothing to do with you. And so I feel conflicted. Again, not just with you, but with a lot of people. We'll come back to, I made a comment earlier. There's a lot of people plotting my demise. Is because I have a lot of fucking shit that my life involves. I have 3 children, all 3 different moms. I have full custody of my oldest. I have joint custody with the middle. I would like to think that me and Lucian's mom have built a beautiful co-parenting relationship. I do really respect her and care about her along with her husband. I think they have done right by my kid, and at the end of the day, that is all I can ask for. But we have built a good relationship. But at the same time, there are still days when I wake up and I'm all like, they tried to take my kid from me once. What's to stop them from doing it again? And so I will get caught in this cycle of when is their next attack on me? And maybe that comes from anxiety. Maybe that just comes from...
I was literally going to tell you, check in, that you're literally describing what we talked about earlier with anxiety. It's literally what it is. Your worst case scenario, and you talked about the thought cycle, and the one thought will start, which will go to the next one and go to the next one, and then the beach ball gets fucking heavier, and like that's the only part I'll interject at, but that is definitely an anxiety thing. There's layers to it, but anxiety is one of them.
Well, and it's totally fair to have complicated feelings about situations too. Like with my mom, dude, I fucking miss her. And I feel so fucking guilty that I was not there for her and that I cut her off and then she killed herself. But also, I'm fucking kind of mad at her for doing that to me because she knows what it was like. She lost her brother to suicide and fucking never forgave herself. She was a shitty mom. She was a fucking really shitty mom. And we've had that conversation. But I still love her and I miss her and I feel bad. And that's what it is, dude. Human interactions are fucking complicated, and so having complicated feelings about them is totally normal.
And I will say, I think a thing with you and I is, I think we haven't got to have a lot of personal interactions since our stuff. And to me, that's where I have the most genuine connection. I actually think social media is fucking...
The downfall of man.
I feel like it's
really
bullshit because
is.
it's such a vapid surface level connection that I don't take a lot of... I don't hold a lot of
Well,
stock in
I
it.
told Jesse the other day, we're not meant to see how this many people act.
And so on our level, we've had the view... I feel like maybe we talk about forgiveness a lot, but did we ever actually, to each other, really forgive each other? Because I think both of us have both of us have really valid, justifiable reasons that we were frustrated with each other, which led to, at the time, both of us being more dysfunctional in our line of thought, led to us not having a healthy interaction opposed to what we can have now. But with that being said, the things that you were upset with me about and the things that I was upset with you about, did we ever actually truly forgive each other? And forgiveness is a complicated thing because forgiveness, I forgive you, but that doesn't mean what happened didn't fucking suck, and vice versa. On that end, that's where I will say, I think the reason why I unfriended you, it was kind of that trigger for me because it was like just the tiniest little like droplet of why my first reason that we got in our big spat that we had that was it was like rooted for me in the fact that I was like, man, I feel like I am a good friend to you. I feel like I've supported you. And when you went on a fuck the world tangent, I was mad I was on that list. And it was that simple. And like that was where mine started. And then on your end, I get your side because you were at the time against the world, but you really were against some people that really had made you fucking feel like you got done dirty. Like some people who really hurt you.
And I will be the first to admit, and you can ask anybody I've ever talked to about our beef. I will tell anybody dude was right to be mad. I should have directed my anger towards who it was towards. I've always been an extremist. And I love so intensely. But the flip side of that is I can also hate just as intensely. Yes. And when, for me at that time, man, and you have been there for me quite a few times. But before I had moved away, one of the reasons I attempted to move away was because I was alone. I was isolated in this little ass, ghetto ass fucking trailer, going through a fucking pretty nasty breakup. I'm now a full-time dad. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was constantly being told what the fuck to do by everybody. My son's mom's parents, my parents, the fucking school's DFS, my friends, everybody is just telling me what to be, how to be. And I remember, the only thing I remember from that time is that I would reach out on social media, literally begging. I will never fucking do that again, but there was a time that I was begging for just somebody to come and keep me company. Somebody please just come and talk to me. Back to what you said earlier, you're looking at it differently now. I can see why maybe I shouldn't fault people, because just at that time it felt like nobody was there. Nobody cared. Everybody just ignored me. Nobody gave a shit until I said, fuck you guys.
It's shitty as it is, it validates how you feel.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, motherfucker, you was silent until I said, fuck you. Now you hear me, which does validate. And also, humans are naturally ingrained to want conflict. So it is much easier for somebody to ignore 20 hey, I'm not doing okay text, and then pay attention to the one, fuck you, motherfucker text. Like,
because we're selfish, dude. Yeah, humans are fucking selfish. Yeah. But like, also, I know what you mean, dude, because like, I don't know if you've listened to my album at all, but like, on it is a song called Spit It Up. And I said there was some shit. I was basically talking about how like, fucking I wanted to die, dude. And I was like, and don't listen to this shit and come and say you're concerned. I've been ignored every day since I was put on this earth. I've been reaching out for years, and all y'all ever do is laugh and talk shit amongst yourselves about the dreams that I have. I know that fucking feeling, bro. And it's hard because, like, even with me, you're the same way as me with your music. Put out your real fucking feelings. And who the fuck says, hey, man, your music is really sad? Nobody ever fucking does that, dude. One person, after I put out my album about my mother fucking killing herself, was like, hey, dude, beautiful piece of art. Side note, are you? Everyone else was either silent, which blew my fucking mind. I was like,
if I can add to that, honey, I didn't know how to reach out to you. I didn't know how to ask you. I was back to the silent supporters, which then again makes me feel like more of a jackass because I am a silent supporter, mad about silent supporters. But I didn't know how. Death has always made me awkward. I am literally that jackass that somebody could walk up to me and be like, I'm not doing so good. My mom just died. And I will literally freeze and then turn around and ask them how their mom's doing.
Well, that's what the society is so uncomfortable with death. And that's where it so sucks, because I feel like that's part of why you have people like you and me who are always thinking about suicide. And nobody's here to check on us because they're like, ooh, I don't want to make it worse. You know what I mean? And well, dude, all we need is for you guys to be here. But like, also, I don't fault you for that. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because like, I'm not gonna lie, I felt some type of way about the fact that nobody fucking was like, yo, dude, beautiful piece of art, and you definitely put me in your shoes and made me feel what you felt. And thanks for making that to where I could understand where you're at. Also, how are you? You know what I mean? And hurt me. It hurt me real bad how few people were there for me. Because honestly, that I've been through some shit, bro. And that is the darkest fucking thing. Like,
I can only imagine.
I try to close my eyes to it every day. Every day, I'll be partway through my day. Like, fuck, dude, I did have a mom. Fuck. All that to say is, like, I know what you mean by that. You know what I mean? And I think we're both kind of seeing, dude, like, people do care, but like they're so caught up in their own lives, because humans just are selfish. And I don't think it's always personal that they're selfish, but also people just don't know how to support each other. because they don't even know how to support themselves.
And again, it's always good to even be aware of the perspective of there's a pretty big chance that a lot of people that you're close to have maybe had the same thoughts about you. And I say that, I contextualize that about all of us. Being like, oh, I needed you and you weren't there, or whatever, and like somebody might have thought,
There's a
oh
song
man, I
on my
really
album
could.
about Cheesy for
you wrote a whole song about it.
I didn't know how to express it. I was
so
like, he understands music.
So it was one of those things where, or it is one of those things just perspectively. And I will say, because this is something we could really dive into, but obviously we have already went a lot. I will, based on the topic of us and that, I will, and that's from the bottom of my heart, I will say that the full acknowledgement of like my fault in it, I will say that I truly, from the bottom of my heart, like the things that I was bothered by, I truly, truly do forgive you for that on my end. And I only hope you can do the same, because I know that I slighted you in a very big way, a way that was, mind you, at the time, because you talked about it. I love big, I hate big. When I was mad at you, what I did was malicious.
And that's fair.
Like,
I can't really hold that against you, because I'm the same.
What I did to you, it wasn't, I can't take it from an angle, oh dude, I had no idea. I knew what the fuck I was doing. I was trying to hurt your motherfucking feelings. I was mad at you, bro. Like, we was having a rap battle. With that being said, I hope you can forgive that side of me, because when it comes to that, I take full responsibility for the fact that I know I did something intentionally to hurt somebody I really love, and like that isn't cool on my end. That does suck. On that end, that's my formal apology to you, with the caveat of like whatever you're feeling, just understand that whatever you got to say to me, even not on the podcast about it, is that I love you and I do forgive you for that side of it.
And I love you too, man. And honestly, I do forgive you. I do. I'm just not very good at
and that's okay, bro.
Forgiving.
That's okay.
Bro.
You can
like,
forgive me and still be mad at the situation,
like,
bro. You 100% can. You could fucking 10 years from now, but I love you. You're my dog. But what you did, bro, that sucked, bro. Just because you forgive me,
I want to let it go. That's one of the biggest things that I want to learn how to do is let shit go. And like I said, there are some people on this planet I will never forgive. I will never fucking say a single good thing about. And there's a lot of shit that comes with that happened between me and them that was very fucking mentally fucking torturous.
Absolutely.
I had a fucking panic attack, dude. Mm-hmm. And this woman who I called mom, who I thought was truly fucking just amazing and would be there for me, I had a fucking panic attack, dude. Like, I couldn't fucking move. I literally was crawling because my muscle, every muscle in my body was tightened and shit. And this bitch starts fucking manhandling me and screaming at me and shit. And then there's other shit too. I'm not gonna fucking go into.
Are you talking about the family that I think you're talking? I don't think that family handles that shit very well at all, because the son, I had a panic attack and was curled up on the floor crying, and he was screaming at me about how the neighbors were gonna hear.
I remember you telling me about.
And I don't know what the fuck happened to that family, but they're bad at that shit.
No, they are fucking vile, monstrous fucking fucks, dude. And so anything that relates to them, and unfortunately, bro, like you relate to them because you came at me with them, and so it's hard for me to separate you, because you are a good dude, Nick. Even all beef aside, you are a good dude. I see what you do. I see how you are, and I'm so fucking proud of you. And even when I'm mad at you, I look up to you, and I'm like, God, dude, I just want to fucking be at least half the fucking capacity that he's at and shit. Maybe that's where I need to start as far as our relationships go. One of the reasons I don't leave my house is because I fucking hate people. And I used to love people. I used to absolutely love going to our hip hop shows, seeing the crowd, meeting people. And now I'm like, literally, I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can fucking trust people. Don't know if I have it in me to be that loving. I gave so much of my heart throughout my teens, my fucking 20s, and now I've reached a point where I'm just all like, dude, I don't have anything left to give even myself. And so I probably subconsciously, possibly, I take that out on everybody, including people that don't deserve it. Just know that I do try to forgive you, bro. And it's not that I don't forgive you. It's just some days, bro, when it's almost like PTSD, dude. I'll remember that whole deal, and then I remember all the bullshit that came with it, and I'm all like, I'm the piece of shit because I confronted somebody for being an emotionally, mentally abusive fuck.
I think obviously because this makes good content for people to listen to, because people like
drama, man.
But I'm gonna put a very positive mental health spin on it. One, I won't even go into any details about said situation in the context of other people involved. I feel like it's just not my place to do. That being said, a good way to, and this is a good indicator as to how my perspective has really shifted over the past few years, is I was so one-sided and selfish during that time as well that anybody who knows me for a long time and early on, but like a healthy amount of my rap career, I was constantly looking for action. Who want it? Who thinks they can go? Like I was just very egotistical and like very crass and just. I actually look back, like my fucking Facebook memories will fucking remind me of that, and I delete them right away.
I hate that
I'm like,
shit,
oh
dude.
god,
I'm all like,
yes, I'm
when
like
did I
ashamed.
post this?
Literally, so I'll do that. So my perspective back then is I went too much into my main character self before I could understand the positive side of doing that. I was doing it in a negative scope. So the way I did this is my main character self is I was like, James has done something that slighted me, and we started having a back and forth. Well, once we started having a back and forth, I right away slipped into, fuck, I just like rap battling, so fuck it, I'll diss him. And it went to, so right away I just went, I'm going to diss James. And then when I dissed you, I went into it purposely using your trauma to hurt you. That sounds terrible to say out loud now. I purposely was like,
I gotta
this.
tell you though, you being able to openly fucking admit that, bro, just really shows how awesome of a person you are, because not many people would 100% openly admit on a fucking podcast, let alone to the person they were beefing with.
So I openly, purposely, with intent, malicious intent, used your trauma because I was mad at you. Now, I was being so narrow-minded, I was looking at it as a battle rap. You're a rapper? Fuck it. Let's have a little battle. Whatever.
It's not like we're humans
Not
with emotions
realizing
and
that
shit.
the stuff that I was using was literal stuff that to this day has affected your life in a very drastic degree. Something that truly traumatized you. Me and my own little main character bubble was cool. I get to have a rap battle, not only a rap battle, but one with substance. I'm not just making filler bars to diss somebody. I got a real problem with. So with intent, did all that stuff, totally ignorantly and unfairly, using it on purpose because I'm like, James, I want to make you mad and hurt your feelings. Then when I stepped away from it, after everything was said and done and I stepped away from it, we had our conversation where I think we didn't forgive each other, but we said we did. When we had our first conversation, time would go by and I looked at it and I started looking at the scale. And I'm like, okay, I was mad at James because when he was mad at everybody, he said, fuck the world. And James is mad at me because I literally used his trauma to fucking crush his heart. And I was like, ooh, that scale does not balance very fucking well.
No, it doesn't.
Then I started being like, oh, fuck. So that's kind of where, because of that, I don't know if I've ever told you that, but it totally changed my perspective, like my perspective of battle rapping. I used to want to do it to where I did it so narrow-minded that I'm like, oh, just because I'm a rapper, you're a rapper. If we have a battle, it can be the equivalent of a basketball game. Well, but I'm going to destroy you, and like, you can't get mad. We're battling. Instead being like, dude, no, they're still like, so literally now if I were to ever diss another rapper, which is highly, highly, highly unlikely, if not 100% chance that I would never do it, they would have to have done something like, I don't even know the scenario that would take place, because what I learned from our battle is I was like, that ain't worth it. It was almost like, as a rapper, to me, it was almost like a badge of honor was having like notches on your belt. Look at all the rappers I've battled and won. And I realized how corny that looked, and like it just what I used to do it. When I look back on the perspective, and I said I never really got to voice that to you, is I realized that I was like, fuck, man, I used something that really hurt James to hurt him on purpose, like, with malicious intent. And you said I'm a good dude. I'm going to co-sign that because I think I am. I was not being a good dude in that moment. I was very much going into my black hat. Whenever I talk about wearing the black hat, when I put on the black hat, I forget what show it is, Ice World or something like that, but like people who wear the black hats are outlaws and shit like that. But yeah, that's where I went with that perspective. And that's where anytime I even tell you that I apologize, I understand that when you think back on it, it's not a Nick and James thing. It's a Nick and them thing. And so I get that. So it's not like you have to forgive me. You have to forgive the situation, which is almost unforgivable, right? That's kind of, I'm very aware of that. I just want you to understand that I don't think I've got to break it down on that level to you. That's kind of, I understand that.
No, man, and you were just fucking insanely real and vulnerable on this, man. I'm gonna match your energy right now. When I fired back, I meant a majority of what I said, but really my aggressive and my intensity was not really aimed at you. It was aimed at the other parties involved, but because you were the one that fired. And granted, one of them fired at me too, but for me it was literally like, oh, well, you got this diss over here that would literally be like me fucking cage fighting a toddler. I've got the fucking, the YO King, the head fucking honcho of the fucking shit right now. Alright, I'm gonna come at him and I'm gonna fucking scorch him so fucking bad that I don't even have to reply to the other two. Mm-hmm. And that probably was not the best way I should have handled that.
And to add to that, just the crazy things about that whole situation, if I'm being totally honest, is you even brought that up with like chip on my shoulder. I was so convinced I was just gonna fucking outright fucking pitch a fucking shutout and like just avalanche you. When you diss me back, it actually, for the first time in my life, in an altercation, a rap altercation, bothered me, which is hard to do. Because it was good. So much so, I listened to it. I swear to God, I had a game night. I was at a game night, and I saw that it dropped. So I played it in front of my friends at the game night, and they were laughing at BARZ, and I was like, fuck y'all! Shut up! It's the enemy, guys! Like, what are you doing laughing at his shit? And like, even Cyrus came out, and like, Cyrus was like, for one instance, was like, hey, I think James got you on round one, like, things like that. And for me, it was actually, when we talk about the healthy side of it, it was healthy, not at the time, because at the time I didn't process it well, but it was healthy to be like, hey bro, you fucking bleed, dog. You've come around, you've done all this work and built up your clout, and then here this guy is that you thought you were just gonna fucking stomp out, came and fucking punched you in the fucking chin, and you was like, oh, hold the fuck up, we fighting actually. And like, so it actually was very like humbling for me, and like a lot of humility came with it. Cause I was like, oh shit, I was almost mad that I'm like, that was you're one of the few rappers that has. So I'll put it this way: the people who have ever made me do that are people in this room. I've written with like Crook, Cyrus, Zach, Cal, and been like, oh fuck, God, I gotta step my game up. When you fucking respond with your diss, that I've never had another artist in a diss battle capacity make me like, oh shit, I gotta really reach for mine, and then still not feel 100% confident.
I just want to say this really quick. I would love to have an episode at some point about battle rap and all the different battles that have happened. And
Involved
also,
in most of them.
yes, but also how, this is a hot take, but a lot of rap culture is bullying without accountability.
Well, this is me taking accountability.
No,
yeah.
no, definitely a lot of accountability is being taken place.
In rap culture.
You're right. No, like,
I was going to say, I would love to be a part of that, but I have only ever had one battle, and we're talking about it already.
But I know that the episode, definitely this is going to be one you have to cut a lot and edit. With that, I think it's a very dynamic and entertaining and fun episode. But when we end on the topic of us, is very aware of my part in it, and that's accepting the really shitty stuff that I did and like truly offering forgiveness for you. But then if you want to like look at the silver lining, which is the whole point of all this mental health stuff, is I think it was really important to happen because a lot of valuable stuff came from like conversation alone came from it. And like I feel even like the battle itself, like I'll even try to put it in the context of maybe from your perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you brought up earlier that you're just like, oh, I could have battled this person, or I got the fucking guy, the fucking Wild King, the dude who's like running around running his mouth, and then you had one of my own homies co-sign you that you won the first round. One of those things where like for you, that's got to be cool to be like, oh shit, dog. Like,
even his friends.
Like there's got to be some value in that. That's fucking cool as hell.
It is, but so my diss that I did to you, I actually took off of my YouTube.
I took mine down.
I've completely switched over. Used to have the James Gregg Music YouTube. I completely took everything down. I still use that YouTube channel to fucking, because I didn't want to lose my subscriptions to beat producers I go through and shit. But I took it down. One, because that was the very first video that kicked off my start. The breaking away from the individuals who pretty much my entire musical journey was based around. That's what started my own personal fucking journey. And I didn't want that to be the first stepping stone that somebody sees. If someday I make a diehard fan, I didn't want them to scroll to the very bottom of the list. And what started that was me talking shit to somebody that I care about.
Because like you said, it wasn't just a battle. It was like...
No, it was personal.
Yeah,
it did get personal. But you've taken a lot of accountability tonight, and I want to do the same. I'm not very proud of myself for very many things. in this world, and I need to work on that. But one thing I'm proud of myself is my level of accountability and my level of honesty. And with that, I'm going to say you weren't wrong. See, I took a small thing, and like you brought up yourself, maybe you just didn't see it. People have lives, and I was too immature to fucking look at it like that. All I knew was like, dude, I've made 20 posts in the last fucking 10 minutes. And fucking not a single motherfucker. Not a single motherfucker has said shit. Fuck
Y'all
all
fake.
of them. But you know what? You were right. I should not have flown off the fucking handle. First off, the way I've always, up until the last couple years, the way my entire life, I have never appropriately processed an emotion, whether it was a breakup or a fucking just something didn't go my way. I didn't get the fucking recognition I wanted on a song, whatever. I would blow the fuck up. I would just, and when I look back on it now, being medicated, having a little more of a more mature mind, a little better of a mentality, I definitely see how, man, that was fucking pretty fucking hurtful to turn around and tell every single fucking person that's ever loved me, cared about me, or fucking just wanted to see me succeed to fuck off. Wow. Because I know how I would feel if somebody, I'm going to use YT. YT is a really good fucking friend. Shout out YT. If that dude was to turn around, like, I genuinely just love that man. I appreciate that man. I look up to him very much. If that dude was to turn around out of nowhere, jump on his Facebook right now and be like, fuck every single one of you, that shit would break my heart. That shit would hurt. Yeah. Or Paul, or one of you guys. Like, damn, dude, what the fuck did I do? I just wasn't mature enough at that time to see that. And so when we go back to our battle, man.
Well, when you're deep in your emotions,
you were
it's hard to see outside of that.
Well, and also I think that me now would process that a lot healthier in the context of being aware, I guess I'm not even close to my mic, being aware that it's, again, cliche, we've all heard it 1,000 times, but hurt people, that I could separate it now, that if you were having a really rough time and say made a post like that, me now would be like, I know James, he's saying fuck everybody, I know he don't mean me. I know he don't mean me. He's like, and instead, maybe, I think what I was doing in the past that maybe wasn't great, is instead I was taking that too personal, instead of being like, hey James, are you okay? Why are you saying this? Instead I was like, why are you saying it about me? It wasn't why, that was one of the things that I could have done better, is being like, instead of making it so selfish and being like, he's saying fuck Nick did a lot, he's a good guy, Nick helped you, remember what Nick did? Instead instead of just being like, hey James, you good, dog? And if you were like, no, being like, man, love you, man, just like, if you need something, hit me up.
Well, that kind of goes back to what Jesse was talking about. Instead of assuring people, rather than being angry at them that they're feeling insecure, you know?
But you know what? Sometimes we have to go down fucking stupid ass roads.
We do though, bro, because that's literally 100%.
Literally.
And how boring would it be if we didn't? How boring would this cast be, bro? It'd be boring. Like,
it would be boring.
We talk about the fucked up shit. How was your day? Amazing, just like yesterday.
Fucking just fantastic. Man, it is important to go down some dark roads. Back to what you said, people with anxiety, it's torturous, it's hell, but they have something to offer that somebody that hasn't experienced that does. The same thing can be said if you don't go down. For me, I'm an ex-drug addict. I went down a road of drugs, and Crook gets it too.
Actually, me too.
Oh, well, then there you go. 3 out of the 4 people in here have gone through a serious drug path, and I'm clean now. I'm good. I can offer an insight to somebody that might be struggling with drugs better than somebody that's never experienced it. And
right,
so,
because they don't know what it's like.
Like, for me, I feel like hypocritical, man.
Hey, bro, let's just establish, raise your hand if you're a hypocrite.
No, bro, you remember the fucking, what was it, hypocrisy? Yeah. And I was like, dude, y'all motherfuckers are acting like some hypocrites. I think I actually was talking about how y'all motherfuckers were beefing, and I was like, this shit's ridiculous, bro. But I was like, dude, hand me the certificate with hypocrite written, legit.
Well, don't you guys ever feel like a hypocrite when you preach against something you used to do? So you know what, fuck it, we've talked about everything else in this podcast. I'll be real and vulnerable right now. I used to have a really fucking serious porn addiction. So much so, dude.
Raise your hand if you're a hypocritical porn addict.
But no, I will preach against porn. If my kids ever come to me and they're all like, hey dad, I got this magazine. No, motherfucker, you're burning that. Because I was so much so, dude, I almost preferred hitting myself off more than I wanted, more than I appreciated actual physical contact with a woman. And I can't imagine how many relationships in which I made my partner feel insecure because he's all like, hey, and I'm like, hey.
Pause. Let me peep you on some game here. That's again, we talk about anxiety being like biological caveman type thing. That's the same with that philosophy on porn and self-pleasure. For one, I have no qualms with it. I think that healthy, open hand. I think all that is healthy. Like whatever you want to do, as long as you're safe. Whoever you do things with is consenting. If you're solo, I guess have at it, buddy.
I have a
That
take
being
on this,
said,
too.
you talked about you started preferring it over your partner. The reason things like that happen is again biologically. Brought up what we want to do. The main thing we want to do is survive, right? As humans, and that's caveman level. That's animal level. That is animal level. What's the second we want to do? Reproduce. Those are the two things we want to do. Gorillas, say that's our closest primates, our closest next thing in the genetic code. The alpha gorilla, his goal is clap as many cheeks as he can. He's trying to spread his seed. He's alpha. He's letting everybody else know that's mine. When he gets to do that, he's like, mission complete. You see him fucking sitting there chilling with his bitches and all that stuff. And then you'll start to notice that opens up the opportunity for him to get more lax. He gets not as strong. He gets less aggressive. And then here comes the younger, bigger, stronger gorilla comes in, and now he takes over. Cycle repeats itself. We do that without the actual cheek clapping. Biologically, if you're sitting there, and this is theoretical on the science level, but the fact that you are able to, again, because your brain's not processing that when you're doing it to yourself, that it's not for procreation. So you can't, procreation. So your brain. So it's not. So on we talked about like we'll have situations where a lot of guys will be like, oh man, I don't have a lot of energy, I don't have this and that, and you find out maybe they do that a lot, and there might be a tie to it because biologically it's saying, hey alpha, you did it, you conquered it, you're getting fucking pussy every night, dog, you're good to go, and your sex drive starts to dip, your testosterone dips because you think mission accomplished. When you're literally jerking off into a napkin.
Oh, dude.
No, it all makes sense because dude, during a time of my life where I was addicted to pornography and stuff, man, I did. At the time, I didn't, but when I look back on it now, I can't recall the last time I've watched any type of pornography. But I
you said you was on my OnlyFans earlier, dude. What the fuck?
No, I realize now some of the changes some of the negative side effects that came with it, and feeling less manly. So like testosterone, like you said, I felt ashamed and like guilty, which then would damage my confidence, obviously. And there's a lot of other shit that probably came with it that I just haven't been able to identify yet because I honestly haven't put much thought into it. I've just reached a point in my life where I'm like, pornography and sexual content is fucking bad, and I'm just gonna stay away from it, and I'm gonna
not the layer like bad for you, because there's some people who maybe have a healthy relationship with that.
That's fair. For me personally, I should say, I have just found that pornography is just not healthy for me.
Think about it in the context of, even we'll bring up a peacock. What does a peacock do to get a mate? He's fucking puffs out his feathers and he has to dance and attract her. If that peacock didn't have to do that and he just got peacock pussy on the fucking snap of his fingers, he's going to stop performing and he's going to stop being as awe-inspiring and he's going to stop letting his feathers flaunt as much. Now, I'm not saying, I'm adding that with the caveat, I'm saying that's on a biological and theoretical science level, because you could fucking crank one off every day and still go be successful and go do you and get your thing. But there is some scientific backing saying that if you're tricking yourself into thinking that you're just clapping cheeks all the time, and then there might be some negative downfalls to that, of being like almost like, just realistically, especially men on the primal side, on the masculine side. We talked about motivation earlier. One of the biggest thing that motivates us is pussy, dog. It's just fucking straight up pussy, money, pussy, power. Very motivating thing. So
money, weed.
If you take one of the things that used to really motivate you on point for a biological level, think about the people who join a sport because maybe they enjoy the sport, but that's pretty much just like the science behind that. That's another thing, is if you're cranking off every day, there's probably some biological.
You ever watch Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
One fucking scene always caught me off guard when he's all like, "You jerk off?" What? Yeah, I jerk off how many times? Like, I don't know, 4 times. He's like, "Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah.
Bump those numbers up."
I didn't know that was the context.
Let's let a quick positive side to jerking off. Have you ever heard of post-nut clarity? There's times that I've been like, man, I got to jerk off before every major life decision. I'm a lot more rational afterwards.
Jesus Christ.
See, not me. I felt more fucking tense, dude.
Do you?
Like, I was to fucking turn around and try to fucking yank my shit, bro. Like, it's just like, I think because of my history and knowing that I made like a lot of partners feel insecure and shit. So now it's like a shameful thing. So like I couldn't jerk my own chain like I wanted to. Like I just couldn't because I don't know. For me, went from fucking rap beef
Stroganoff. This episode's got to be called Beef Stroganoff.
Oh my god, I hate you.
But I'll tell you what, we've gone off on a lot of tangents, and you brought me here. Is there anything else you wanted me to touch on? Anything else? The wrong choice of fucking words after what we just talked about.
So first historical use of the button. It didn't work. No one cared.
What do you mean? We stopped.
I just used the button.
No, you used it and I stopped talking.
You did.
Press it during that person. Yeah, so if you're talking, I want you to stop, I press it.
Oh,
and then if you stop, I unpress it.
When it goes off, it's my turn to talk. Is the
That's what you
okay?
I fucking just press all the time.
But it is getting late, guys.
Yeah,
and my wife
okay,
is probably, what the fuck is he doing?
Okay. I just wanted to say on the pornography thing, which like his thing could lead into my thing, but I think a lot of it has to do with intimacy issues, right? Much easier to just get yourself off and not have to deal with any of the like emotions that come with sex. Like, 'cause I don't know about y'all, like, or you don't get to talk. Okay. For me, like, it's fucking awkward. It's scary. Like, and like, well, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be thinking? Does he think, do I stink? Do I, you know what I mean? Like, and like, I'm just with myself, like, throat pie. All right.
Throat pie? Oh my
and
fucking
it's done.
god.
What the fuck?
What? Yeah, you do, motherfucker.
throat pie?
I'm like, even act like you ain't no fucking whore. You know about LG and brats, bro. Okay, I heard that shit in your song. I was gonna talk to you about that shit. Okay,
I did have some.
but we're gonna digress. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't get to talk about, but I think this was a wonderful episode.
Yeah,
Talked about a lot of stuff. Yeah,
so
no offense to anyone else who was on the show. I also do think that like we're kind of into a groove now, you know what I mean, which makes it easier. But I want to thank you guys especially because I always wanted to be a therapist. I think what I really wanted to do was be part of something that worked towards some kind of a solution or towards things, you know what I mean? And let's don't take it by any way. I'm happy that I'm part of something like that. You know what I mean? Like, and that like means a lot to me. So like you guys,
awesome.
Yeah, you guys like, I really feel like this is so tied to my purpose and I really appreciate you guys for being part of that.
Well,
I was
really
gonna say,
proud to be a part of it.
I was gonna say like minutes ago. I really like how just record our therapy sessions and put them online and
I feel bad
fuck
for what
it.
you have to cut out.
I don't cut much out, like, unless we're doing
This
a little
one, we
run
might
around.
really test that.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like unless y'all have specific things that you don't want out there, like, I think everything tonight was really, like...
I don't want anybody to know that I know what a throat pie is.
Oh,
banana
I'm
cream.
sure.
pie?
Yeah, I'm sure she would be so surprised.
shocked.
But yeah, so much for coming on. Honestly,
Thank
like
you.
I would love to have you on again because again, we didn't get to a lot of this stuff that I wanted to talk about. But I do think that it ended up meatier than like was kind of.
We touched on a lot of really good things. I honestly think,
Even ourselves.
I honestly
touched
really
on
think
ourselves.
me and
Fucking
Nick
hate you.
needed that conversation.
I actually think
Yes.
so too. It's crazy because I actually literally I thought it was funny that we really connected there. I like almost spaced that we were on a podcast.
Oh, dude, no,
Like, I
me too.
dead ass
For a
was
minute.
just like, oh,
me
it's like,
too.
we just having a good talk right now, which is really
Dude,
important.
and we needed
That's what
that,
we're
man,
looking
and,
for. That's what
you
we're
know,
looking
fucking do
for.
love you, bro.
Yeah, and yeah, same, bro.
Like-
Same. Anything's a testament. The only reason my feelings ever get hurt is because I do love you. A lot of other people do shit that
Bro,
don't bother
people you
me
don't
because I'm
care
like
about
whatever.
can't hurt
But I
you.
love you, dog. And so that's where like
Emotionally.
yeah.
You know what
You
and
can
I need to
definitely
do?
hurt someone physically that doesn't care about you.
You and I
or
need
vice
to
versa.
just drop a
I don't know,
fucking
I can't
banger,
remember.
but
Yes.
but not flexing. See, like when we originally talked about doing a song after the beef and stuff, dude, like mentality at that time, I was all like, man, I don't know if I want to do the song, but if we do, I'm gonna fucking shit on it. Like,
You try to out rap each other.
Yeah, like-
almost like the beef behind the
Amber
beef.
Heard on the
Exactly.
beat, leave a turd on the
and
sheets.
I just really think like you and I one of these times need to sit down and actually just put our full creative minds together, and I think you and I, dude, could create
Oh,
a
absolutely.
fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll close on because this will I will shut the fuck up so we don't have to keep drag on anymore because I will make the end of the episode another 2 hours. What I'll close
You
on,
will.
bro, is so thank you for being a part of this episode.
Yes.
It is really cool. Like the classy broadcast is really like really important. I feel like this is one of the healthiest more organic episodes we've done.
Yes.
And that being said, with it being you in particular, we couldn't have the episode without you. So very important. I hope that you walk away with it. A lot of value. Some things that I hope you really reflect on is, for instance, when you first got here. For real. But like, first got here, Callie described your song and cried. Like, the reason I've always been a James ally is that outside of being your friend is I've always been really frustrated at how talented you are and that I thought you've like not done anything with it. And I think a lot of that might be that self negativity, that self-consciousness side of it. But tonight you saw somebody who is one of the most brilliant artists I've ever met in my entire life.
You're really very talented.
Stupidly talented, and you made her cry with your work. Somebody who literally was previously being like, man, nobody pays attention to my shit. Where you made another like cry. Like, that's not the biggest compliment ever.
No,
I hope you walk away. Really hope you walk away with like a lot of value. And bro, nothing would make me happier.
Dude, I'm walking away with a lot.
Yeah, nothing make me happier if I saw a fire lit under your ass, bro. And the days it's not there, bro, we fucking say this all the time, but if anything, bro, like, let our personal relationship get even closer. Like, you know,
like that.
Yeah. And we'll start calling each other out too, like, in a healthy way. We'll start, like, if I feel like I'm starting to feel like insecure about something or vice versa, just fucking hit me a message, bro. And we'll do what we did tonight. We'll have a healthy talk. So that being said, James, I fucking love you.
I love you, man.
You gave us a fucking beautiful episode. And fucking, we gonna hug on camera. We gonna hug on, bring it in right here. This is gonna be one of my most sincere hugs.
I was like, wait, we're not done, but I didn't realize what was happening.
I love you, brother. I love you truly and sincerely. And with that, I will say my piece. So everybody else do their closeout.
Should have worn my Caution May Cry Happy Tears shirt. Loved this. This is so great. Honestly, makes me so happy. I can't even explain to you guys. Like, this is so beautiful. It's all I ever wanted. I love you guys so much. And no, I didn't move here till I was 19. Grew up together.
You really fucking did.
What the fuck, dude? We're all like, I know.
We're starting to get healthy. What the fuck?
Person who's always moved around a lot. And I've always been jealous of the ability to let their friends grow and part of that and have that now. And you guys gave that to me, and thank you.
I love you. She's the driver, the wheels, the gasoline.
They're real.
Like,
Absolutely.
for anybody watching, Jesse does talk.
The whole time I've been sitting here, I'm all like, dude, has any of us given Jesse a chance to fucking say shit?
Jesse,
I
you
threatened
just
him
gotta
before
say
the
shit.
episode. I said, you fucking say a word, I'm punching you in the mouth.
That's why I need the soundboard so I can just be like.
I was gonna say
Well,
earlier, and then
there's podcast episodes where you like have people who talk a lot, and then out of nowhere you're like, the fucking yeah.
dude, I'm telling you, either is fucking leaf or he'll just come out of nowhere with like a fucking bulldozer, like fucking sentiment.
Good try.
Yeah.
I better
Thank you
get
guys
home.
again for watching and for giving us space to voice our thoughts.
Absolutely.
Good night.
Thanks again for joining us for our 5th Classy Broadcast episode with James Gregg on the topic of mental health. Join us next week as we end a very special Halloween-themed episode breaking down Sycamore Treasy's new album, It's All Drama.